where we play a waiting game for it to hit YouTube. But in the recording, it still comes up with all of us staring there at the screen any moment as I continue to monologue just so there it is. And we are live with episode 197 of the Zombroz podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have a very special episode of Zombroz as we have the entirety of the developers of the brand new modded and made from the ground up potential. I'm pretty sure it is map of Leviathan on Black Ops 3. But before we introduce each of the developers, we have to get the co-host with the most effort into the behind-the-scenes work in both Zombroz and other ventures. Johnny J25, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm coming off a hot week last week, a spicy one.
Shit. Oh, we're okay. That's right.
I just want to quickly jump. Jump into this. To the people who were mad at me after last week's show. I was wrong. I apologize to everybody who was really nice and understanding after the fact. Thank you. To the people sending me vague threats, suck a fat fucking dick, and let's get to the show.
Yeah, we can't swear.
Well, I guess we are there. Okay, so
should I ask what happened?
It's a long story.
Dumb,
I'll tell you after the show.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's so inconsequential. It's stunning to me. Regardless, I would like to introduce each of you one at a time. First, I want to introduce Jaybird, who is one of the developers of the Leviathan map. Actually, I'll just go Jaybird, Hex Zombies, and Awesome Pie Man are all their taglines that they use to create this map. You can actually see them on the page, which is linked in the description. If you want to download the mod and play it yourself, you can see gameplay of me and Juan. We did over an hour and a half of playing it yesterday, so that'll be on during the stream. But do you guys want to introduce yourself and then maybe what your role was on creating this map? And then we'll really dig into all the questions surrounding Leviathan.
Jay, you go first.
Yeah, sure. I'm Jaybird. Basically just been in the modding community since around 2011, 2012-ish, making a whole bunch of different maps on World at War, and then we just kind of transferred over to Black Ops 3. I was one of the mappers on the Leviathan remaster, as well as scripter.
Gotcha.
And I'm Hex. I've been the same time. What is it, like 2011 that I've been in? That's where I met Pi and Jaybird. And that's when we did the original Leviathan, and then we started doing other stuff, and then the remaster. But I did mapping.
Okay.
And I'm Awesome Pie Man. I've also been in the modding community for way too long, and I did scripting for the map.
Okay. Scripting? Was it just scripting? You cut off there for a second.
Yeah, it was just scripting. I wasn't really into the mapping part, but yeah.
He's known as he's known as like more the evil mastermind behind the. Anytime that you guys are raging from any of the bosses and whatnot, blame Pie Man.
Yeah, that's Pie.
Raging is one way of putting it. I was thoroughly impressed with the cutscenes, the boss fights, and the events you were able to put in a modded map, especially compared to other modded maps that we have seen in the past. So I want to dive into Leviathan. I want to dig into all of your guys' background of it. But for anybody that hasn't experienced the map, I think me and John are. Do you want to give your impressions, John, of the map from what you played and what you saw as well? Because we didn't get to complete the Easter egg. I believe neither of us completed the Easter egg. We went and watched it. You watched Lex. I watched Smart Guy.
So I didn't get as much time to play Leviathan as I would have liked. So I played it when it came out. And then I was moving, so I was just seeing him in a different location. I'm back home, so I've been very busy packing up my apartment for the past. Yeah, that's also why the show got moved to Monday. Thank you guys for being accommodating and being.
That's fine.
Yeah, so I've been moving for the past couple of days. I just got my whole computer set up this morning. Reed actually DM'd me last night saying, "Hey, you want to give the Easter egg a run?" I said, "I can't. I don't have a PC to play it on at the moment." So I got about an hour, 2 hours of playtime when it came out. And then shortly after, I had to deconstruct my whole setup, and I watched Lex play through it on his stream. And when I was playing it, I was thoroughly impressed. I mean, it probably goes down, I think, right now as the best custom zombies map we've ever seen. I'm not just saying that because you guys are on the show. Like, I do have my criticisms, and I think there's areas where it could be improved, but I gotta say, I mean, blown away from all the various sequences. You know, you're just even from the beginning, opening up the gate, you start off at the top and then you shoot your way down. Like, that sets the tone immediately, whereas no custom map really sets the tone quite like that.
That was actually something that was featured in the original back on World at War. Obviously not as cinematic as it is in Black Ops 3, but
yeah, and that's not even the peak of like the cinematic,
not even
of the map.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just impressed too when you had the sequences going from like as you enter the boss fight, and then after and so forth. But like that set the tone though, if you know what I'm saying.
It kind of gives you a little bit of anticipation because you're like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah,
it kind of flips it on your head a little bit because you usually with these Treyarch maps and whatnot, we just jump right into a boss fight, right? There might be an occasional, small little thing happening, but we just wanted to make it a little more cinematic to catch people's attention.
It sure did.
Yeah.
Me. I adored playing through Leviathan, especially because I had a fair amount of time on your original Leviathan and World at War, and just seeing it brought to life on the new engine is this similar feeling I had to playing the Zombie Chronicle maps at Treyarch. Obviously, a little different when it's Treyarch and all that shit's going on, but like when I remember, I know I'm going through this location I played in World at War and seeing it reimagined on BO3, it was like, whoa, my brain is feeling this right now. This is crazy.
Yeah, we felt that the whole way through development.
Oh, that's awesome to hear because it's as a player, as an outsider looking in, it was amazing to see the upgrades of stuff like in the trailers that Chroma cut, which were incredible. I love Chroma. He's worked with me, incredibly biased. I think he's an awesome human being, but the work he does is also incredible. It speaks for itself. And when he was doing like the side-by-side comparisons, that was the shit that was really getting me about this map. Is like it took what limitations you guys had in World at War, and it's like, yeah, now we're bringing it to real life. We're really showing you what we're made of. And it was like, wow, give these guys like an inch and they take a mile in terms of development. And that to me is extremely exciting. And I believe you guys have also talked about, which we'll get towards the end, but what you want to do going forward for developing maps or making games and stuff like that. But overall, my first impressions of Leviathan were by far the best made Call of Duty custom zombies map of probably all time. The custom animations, the map itself, it plays the detail in which has been added here, the unique perks that have been added into this game, along with other unique objects, the clever ways you guys have re-optimized a specialist weapon to use the Triton. This was amazing, especially when playing the original Leviathan. I wasn't as blown away by the original Leviathan, no offense, but it was, World War. There was... You had Treyarch to compete with at that point. You still do. But like I played a Treyarch map and then the limited tools you had for World at War, it's like, dude, this doesn't feel like a Treyarch map. This multiple times, I'm like, fuck, there's a little polish, a little bit of missing. There's like a little bit, like I feel a little bit of Source Filmmaker here, but probably Blender is what you guys use. I'm feeling a little bit here, but I'm like, they are so goddamn close, man. The gap got so much closer. And this is something me and John talked about where it's just like, you're not going to beat Treyarch. Don't go for Treyarch, right? And you guys didn't try and beat them. You did your own thing, which just, fuck. You put yourself right in the money.
I feel like I've said this on the show multiple times. Like when we talk about custom maps, I say like, don't try to be Treyarch because you can't. It's hard. Like they're a studio of 300 plus people. It's hard to compete with that. And I think that applies to maybe 99% of like custom mappers. But I gotta say that you guys are in that category, like that 1%. If it's like maybe not try to be Treyarch, but goddamn, can you get close?
I think it's more if you don't have the manpower to hit that quality, then put in the time and effort to get there.
Yeah,
because I've always been a strong believer of anybody in this community could make a map as good as Leviathan. It's just do you have the time and patience to actually sit down and do it?
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that. Tell us about
Well,
the
yeah,
process.
yeah,
I heard it was
time
a
and
year-long process to make Leviathan. Take us through it. Walk us through inception of when you guys wanted to remaster it, through what that year or more was like.
It started out as Jaybird's April Fool joke.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna do an April Fool's Day joke and just screw with the community.
Mhm.
I started off with Radimax. We were gonna basically go through and remaster the starting room, and that was it.
Mhm.
And we were gonna pretend like we were releasing the full thing. And then after finishing the starting room, it was just like, I'm hooked. I want to do this. I want to keep going. So then that's when I was like, all right, I need to call up Pi and Hex again. We need to get the full team on this.
Mhm. How
But
big
it was
is your
just
team?
getting the band back
It's
together.
all three of you. Do you guys outsource any more work besides the three of you?
Yeah, we've done audio.
Oh yeah, we have some amazing voice actors in that map as well.
I did notice that. I
yeah.
thought that was really
Mhm.
cool. They were good imposters.
Yeah. So we had a few different voice actors who kind of played some roles in the map. So, for instance, we had Glitching Queen, who was doing our...
Yes! Dude, okay. So I played it for... I'm like 40 minutes in, and Juan's like, Glitching Queen's doing the voiceover for the announcer. And I was like... It just like clicked immediately. She wasn't even talking at the time of the map. I'm like, oh my God, that was so seamless. It works so... But as soon as you hear it, you're like, yeah, of course it's her.
It did sound more like her before, but then Chroma changed.
Chroma actually did the tweaking to that to make it sound more like a robotic voice, and he did a pretty good job.
Okay, so he was sending me test files, Chroma, of... he was trying to get the same sound from the Frozen Dawn that sounds like Klaus. And he was going crazy with audio. So I wonder if that was during that kick. He's amazing. He's a wizard when he starts really setting his mind to an effect or tried to do I guess an effect would cover both visual and audio effects. It's amazing.
Yeah. No, he does an amazing job.
We wanted something that sounded more like GLaDOS.
Mm-hmm. I think.
Nah, I don't think exactly. I was just more like that was just the basic idea that I thought of. I think it worked out perfect.
I agree.
Yeah.
It
was not
obvious. It was like I didn't sit there cringing like, ooh, they went and got a YouTuber to do a cameo voice. I didn't notice it. That's a big win. It worked.
Mm-hmm. So that's one of our voice actors. There's for Dr. Wells, the man in the tube.
Mm-hmm.
We actually hired a guy named Chris, who's an American voice actor, and he did an amazing German accent. And it sounded pretty well. I mean, it wasn't as crazy as Hex's original voice. Because Hex played as the original Dr. Wells.
The B-movie actor.
Yeah. That was a very, very interesting character you portrayed.
We do have like bloopers of the guy actually doing it like very hammy.
Oh. He almost sounded like he was like on the toilet at one point.
Oh man.
Okay, let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about our blooper.
We were trying to make him sound like a little more like he's getting sick, and he's like, okay, he couldn't pull that off, so we'll just have him do his own thing. So yeah, that was one of the voice actors we got for Dr. Wells. So you hear him throughout the map. We had this really cool sound system where if you got close to him, you would hear the sound coming from him, but then as you got further away, you'd hear it coming from the PA system.
Nice. That's a much
so
needed
like
touch.
A little bit of polish just to add more connection to the story.
That's something I find that is always missing inside custom zombie maps, is that polish that you're talking about. And it's very clear you guys put your money where your mouth is. You put in that extra time. And that's something that always happens with Treyarch. If you walk away from a conversation, maybe the audio cancels or the audio redirects itself to make sure you're still immersed inside the gaming experience. So that did shine through inside my playthroughs, obviously limited playthroughs, but my playthroughs and watching Leviathan. I also want to compliment that the radios inside the map, you guys didn't go crazy with them. And that's so good. Like, I sincerely appreciate you guys didn't go and put an essay to try and make this super intense, way over the top storyline. You cared. You wanted to make sure there's some sort of storyline, but understood the gameplay, the map. Like, these are the things that are going to shine through the experience, the environment, the vibes it's giving up, making sure it has those little details instead of writing, a short story or a novel.
Yeah,
And
we wanted to sprinkle a story.
And I appreciate that as an old time story guy. I remember going into maps and you're just like, this radio isn't stopping. It's still going. And I just wanted it to stop. And it just goes on and on.
I think another thing we thought about that was a lot of people who play zombies might not want to know anything about the story. They just want to play.
Yes.
So one of the things that happened in the original is you just kind of walked up to Dr. Wells and he just started talking on his own.
Yes.
And so we had some feedback from that and we listened. So you basically have to interact with him now. So if you don't want to do anything story related, you don't have to.
I think that's a excellent choice. I'd really shine through again. Like, I don't
Origins
mean to blow
developer,
smoke.
take notes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to blow smoke up any of your guys' ass. Like we both said, we do have criticisms of the map, but like, my God, like, I definitely want to say, give you compliments where compliments are due. This is an impressive project. This is a lot of work. And I think as many people that love playing zombies really need to give this a chance. They really got to check out Leviathan because I hope it inspires other people in the zombies community to try and take modding this seriously.
Oh, we were like stressed out like a week before because Steam was acting up.
Yeah.
Classic death.
They did an update for Half-Life Alyx.
Yes.
And they broke the Steam client. So anybody who had larger maps could not upload.
Oh, shit.
And so everybody in the modding community was scrambling around because we had already given out the release date.
Mm-hmm.
And we're trying to we needed one more push because we didn't localize the files yet. So only English players could have played it when we. So yeah, it was like the last minute crunch to try to figure out what the hell was going on.
Mm-hmm.
So was this April 1st for the timeline, getting back to the earlier topic?
Yeah.
It was April 1st, 2018, 2019?
2019.
2019.
I started with Rady with the starting room in March of 2019 because it was planned to be an April 1st
right
box map.
Mm-hmm.
And then basically right after that, in April, Hex and Pi joined on, and then we just went full ham all the way through the summer until we hit that. Eventually, we were super secretive about this. We didn't tell anybody. We didn't show any screenshots because a lot of times what happens is you make these big projects and then you either lose focus or maybe something happens in your life that, something comes up, right?
Certainly.
So we didn't want to get people's hopes up. And then on the top of that, it kind of adds to the fact that if we wanted to make a grand surprise, hey, we're releasing a remaster, we can kind of show way more than just say, oh, we're starting to do this project. We don't have anything to show yet, though.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant. That's a very good perspective. I mean, that's happened a multitude of times. You see that happen in a variety of games, in a variety of modding scenarios. How many Patreon people for Skyrim mods or for some other niche, maybe it be Counter-Strike or Gary's mod or whatever it is, it just ends up dying because, again, like you said, things come up and you see little bit. Oh, you know what's a good example of that is Yandere Simulator. I mean, that game has been in development for 7.5 years. All these promises, and it just never comes out. And it that's a whole deep dive of stuff. But it's like, it is difficult. The games industry is difficult, and even modding has a high mountain to climb if you're looking for this type of quality in a map. To make a box map, fuck it, right? Pound it out in a week. No big deal. For what you guys undertook, it blows me away. Again, because this is free. This is a free mod. I really like what you guys did with your merch as well. That you took that route. If people want to support this map, you went and got your own original artwork, your own original ideas. You had your own way of selling merchandise to support the entirety of the project to compensate you for all those 13 months of time. That is, again, that's the way you run a business. That's the way you do stuff.
We have seen people do that. Like, oh, if you want to play this map, donate and we'll send it to you. That always seemed kind of messed up.
I know I ranted last week about it. And I still feel that way this week.
I'm very curious now about what happened last week.
Oh no, that was
that's unrelated.
We talked about
Unrelated.
Leviathan was coming out, and I was like, well, shit, we should have Leviathan. We got to check it out. I forgot it was even coming out this week just because I was going through so many things. And then they linked your website to me, and I was like, this is amazing. I am so hyped because I've had those experiences where people have tried to give custom maps, and they're like, that'll be $30. It's like, bitch, are you kidding me right now? Do you know who holds the copyright to that? Do you know how angry
exactly.
Activision would be if they? It's like we don't appease Activision, but like this is how lawsuits happen. This is how you ruin modding tools for everybody in the community by pulling shit like this. So that's why I feel pretty strongly about those. Like, donate to me to get the map. It's like, it's not your product. You know, go make something original new. And merchandising is that avenue to really allow.
That was a big problem on World at War too. Like I've seen people do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they put like donation walls up. It's like, oh, play the beta early if you donate.
Oh, speaking
Which is really scummy.
So this is actually hilarious because all you guys, from the sounds of it, from your introductions, have been in this since modding back in 2011, which I think predates even John when he joined around Black Ops 1, just barely around that time, just a little bit. So very much we grew up with the community in a very similar way, but you guys focused on modding. What I'm really curious about is how do you feel about the jump from World at War modding to Black Ops 3 modding? Like, are the tools and resources better? Why? And to that point, is that why it took so long for like a Leviathan to catch up to the BO3 engine? Because a lot of the early maps for BO3 custom zombies were garbage, and then that again stemmed just like World at War. A lot of the early World at War maps were garbage. It takes time to learn the tools. It takes time for everybody. To get in. So
I think it was.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it was more that it was more accessible, the Black Ops 3 tools.
Okay, how so?
So you basically just download it off Steam and start working.
What'd you do prior?
We had to go on to like some jank. We had to go on some janky website. I don't even know what it was. It's not Treyarch, that's for sure. You had to download. You had to download the base mod tools. Okay. Then you had to download the Vruk, Shinonuma, and Deriz packs that go on top of all of that.
Okay.
And like you'd run into so many errors trying to set them up.
Sure.
It wasn't easy.
Okay. Yeah, that was the thing. Like, if you wanted to make a map, you had to pick a style before that. Like, you had to do a Noct version, right? Or like a Shinonuma version, or a Vruk version, or a Deriz version.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But the tools in Radiant were actually really fun to use, though. Like the World at War ones.
Yeah. Although
is that different from Black Ops 3? The tools?
Very, very similar. Okay. But the biggest thing that was super annoying back in World at War is anytime you wanted to see your map with lighting, you had to compile.
Oh,
you had to compile, and it would take forever. Like on Leviathan, when that thing was massive. Like Pieman, you were the one doing the compiles for that thing back then, right?
Yeah, it took a while. I can't remember how long. It was probably like an hour or more.
My god!
A while.
You change one light, and now you got to wait an hour.
Oh my god!
But now Black Ops 3, everything you can see basically what you see in game in Radiant.
Amazing.
That's amazing.
For people
that's got to speed of development time a million times.
Yeah,
definitely.
I'm trying to clarify this as well for people that have no idea and have absolutely no background in zombies and development or any of that type of stuff, these type of questions, because I mean, it's overwhelming to try and approach. How do I even start making a Call of Duty Zombies map, like on the baseline? So you go to the janky-ass website, you download these mods, and then trying to just test something like, hey, is this working? An hour compile time? When you could be doing more progress, just like John said, this is expediting the entirety of it. Just a little test. If that's like anytime anybody at school, let's say you're working on a group project at school, and you just want to check, hey, let me edit this paragraph, but you got to wait an hour to edit the paragraph. That is insane for your pipeline, for your time management skills, for just like, you know, at this point, I'm putting it away for tonight. I can't work on this anymore tonight if I got to wait another hour after spending all this time writing it up. It's like this barrier to spell check. It's like, are you kidding me? I can't do that. So that's exciting to hear BO3 tools help break down those barriers.
Yeah, it's a lot easier for Black Ops 3, but like World of War was kind of like a smaller community of mappers.
Okay.
There was still a big community of people playing custom maps.
Sure.
But like Jaybird said, like downloading the tools was insane. Like you had to like know where to put each file. This does it for you, basically.
That sounds.
It just
And just-
slaps it right in your Black Ops 3 folder, and then boom, you just start going.
Mhm.
Hit the
Plus you're
ground
working with a
running.
team, which you can
The
trust.
work- The workshop though is a little. We're not big fans of the Steam Workshop because we used to go to a website where they'd like verify it's a good map, not just some box map that they put
Yeah.
together in like an hour.
Sure.
So if they had moderation on the Steam Workshop
Mhm.
and maybe allowed specific trusted people in the community to kind of go through and clean it up, I think that probably would help out a lot.
It's an
It's kind of a weird topic, though.
Yeah, no, I'm interested to talk about this because this is a perspective of the devs. Because I think there's two sides to this. ZombieModding.com was one of the sites. I don't know
Yeah.
anything about it. I just remember you'd go like ZombieMods.com, ZombieModding.com. I just go around downloading wherever I could get it from. And you bring up a good point that it helps get a lot of the trash out of the way, a lot of the maps, because there's plenty of them on Steam as well.
Wasn't just trash too. You get these troll maps that are like they're offensive.
Yes, that's fair. That is
And
fair.
then, like, for instance, about a month before we released Leviathan, somebody put out a troll map that said Leviathan.
Leviathan.
Yeah, it was spelled weird, but it was like they were just trying to like catch people. Like, oh, they know people would download it. So
This is good too because you never know what you're going to download from World at War.
That is fair, actually. That is even more fair because then you're like virus.exe. I don't know. The map was called Town.
We did have a really good. What was it like a file manager on UGX?
the map manager.
Yeah.
UGX. Yep. UGX was that was like the premium zombie.
Yeah,
map
and they
after a while.
certified like the maps. They basically were like, "Is this worthy enough to go in the map manager?"
It's really fun.
But when you use
Also
words
just-
like that, it makes me worried about gatekeeping, right? That not everybody can make a
yeah.
map, right?
Yeah.
So there's a little bit it's like we're gonna choose the moderators. We got to make sure the maps are worthy. Like that stuff is like, and I'm not attacking you guys personally in that sense, but like
Oh no,
that's
no.
the fine line you're getting
It's-
at, where it's like you got to.
It's how do you make that line?
Yeah, that's a good.
And it's to play devil's
either if
advocate.
it's if you put it too low, you end up having all these box maps and whatnot. But if you put it too high, then you're basically snuffing out potential modders that could grow into,
Exactly.
Somebody's first map, they're just excited to get the mod tools, and they're gonna throw up their first map ever, and it's a shitty box map,
I did that.
But that modder could go
definitely
on
did
to
that.
make the next Leviathan.
I 100% did that.
I did that too.
Exactly. That's how everybody probably begin. In the same way of like us YouTubers,
Except for
like my first-
Jaybird. Jaybbird's good at everything.
Oh, shut up.
It's funny that like my first zombies videos, I was actually going back and looking at some old like Johnny J videos back in the day that aren't even on Johnny J, on a different channel. Videos are awful, but like I threw that shit at the wall, and thankfully YouTube let me throw that shit at the wall because that's how I got to where I am today. And the same way you guys threw your first shitty box maps onto the workshop, and thankfully Steam allowed, or it wasn't Steam, but thankfully you were able to, and then now here you are with Leviathan. So it's a little bit of take to go with the bad, but I totally see what you mean about like some moderation would be great.
Yeah.
Just like a light amount of it.
Yeah.
We all
Get
met
anything
on.
offensive off it.
We all met on zombie modding like back in like 2011 after I like quit YouTube. I think this was on like Black Ops 2 when things started picking up for like custom maps.
Definitely. And I think You Always Win is one of the biggest channels that has kept custom zombies alive throughout the past 12 years.
They did like contests and whatnot too, which were really fun.
They are probably one of the best contributors to keeping the custom zombie community alive. I don't know, by the way, because I'm not deep in the custom zombie community. I hope I don't look to offend anybody or anything like that, but from the outside looking in, it looks like Niels and Meatwagon really give a shit about custom zombie maps and have really put out a great effort in keeping that community alive, sustaining it, and trying to get modders, incentivize them to make bigger and better maps.
Yeah. Well, me and Paya were big fans of. I don't know if you guys know NGT.
Yeah, of course.
Just we liked Spider Bite and Hypermole just because like one never noticed anything. It was hilarious. He just walked past something, and the other one would notice everything, and they kind of rolled off each other. But they disappeared sadly. So.
Yeah, I forget where they ended up going. I think he just took a break as time went on. But
I don't know. NGT or Spider Bite kicked a cabinet in, and we never saw him again.
Yep, that's a good one. That's a classic. Oh man,
we talk a bit about the time, going back to the timeline of like development, Because one of the things I'm curious about, so you guys dropped like I think you dropped your first trailer like last September.
Yeah.
So, and looking at that, so when you guys dropped that trailer, where do you think this map was in terms of like development and compared to like where it is today?
50%?
No, I don't think we're at 50 because the trailer came out when we were just about to hit observation. Remember, Hex?
Oh yeah. Oh, the water was still like green, wasn't it?
Yeah, all the water looked weird. The lighting was crap. Like, it's so funny because we were so proud of it at the time, but then we look back at it now and it's like, oh my god, that is nasty.
If you look at the tunnel, you can actually see the divers in there. He's been in there for like the longest time.
Yeah, we teased the diver right away. You just got to pay attention.
Yeah, well, I've watched this trailer at least like twice now over just the course of this show, and I gotta say, like it's hard to tell from just an outsider's perspective. You know, the guy that didn't pour hundreds of hours into it, where this is in development. So like to hear you guys be like, oh yeah, looking at this, like we scoff at it, it's just wild.
The entire left, yeah, we knew the layout already, but the entire left side of the map didn't exist in that trailer.
Well, that's what I was hoping to hear.
Yep, that's gaming.
Like oh yeah, we could only show these other areas because the others just didn't even exist.
I hear that all the time from devs. Yep.
Labs. So I think labs. We call it the crash room, but the sub launch room, the one with the giant green room that gets breached. The soul generator.
Cafeteria wasn't even in there.
Cafeteria probably wasn't in there. Machinery, like the whole left side of the map just didn't exist yet.
That's interesting. I remember when I saw this trailer, I like wrote it down as potential future Zombroz topics, as I just keep like a running list, and I kept it whenever we like, all right, what are we doing this week? I'd go back to the list and look at that, and I'd see Leviathan, talk about map, and then I'm like, still not. Well, I don't know.
We did still have the prefabs from World of War, but all those had to be like redone because they were poorly made.
Yeah, I mean, you look back at all your old stuff, and it's like,
yeah,
you've improved over the years, and you think, why did I do it this way?
Well, the prefabs that we have were like named weirdly, like La Cocker Room, and we can't spell.
Yeah. Oh my god, the map file at the end of the original Leviathan. It started off as I sent Pieman a prefab of the locker room. And for some reason, he decided to use that as the base map file for everything. And we just kept changing the name of the map file. It got misspelled so many times. It turned out to be like lacockerroom.py and then like a whole bunch of numbers. And it's like, what the heck are you doing, Pieman?
But we kept it for all these years.
It was pretty wild. The name
it's funny. It's funny.
That is like spot on from like YouTube stuff that we do too. Like whenever, or maybe most people do too, is when you save a file and you just keep adding like another one, or you just slam on the keyboard. You're like, fuck, I just need to save this file. I don't care what the name is. That's beautiful.
Or the same Premiere file that I've been using to edit my videos for at least 2 years now. I think I've been using this one Premiere file. It's just called Untitled.
Oh, it's like the base one they give you when you save a file, right?
Literally, so it's just Untitled, but then within there I have like different sequences, and I just delete the last video sequence and make a new one, and that's just keep using that same Premiere file because it's got all the assets I need already in there. It's easy. But so was that trailer the first time you guys announced Leviathan? Because I know you mentioned that you guys were keeping it secret for a while, so that was when you first announced it.
Well, no, it was a video of the ocean. Remember, it was the top of the ocean.
Like about a week before, I want to say, or maybe a couple days before, we had like a teaser, which was like a small, like 5-second clip where it was just like the camera panned down on the water and it just said like a date or something like that.
Yeah, everybody thought I was going to be like the Swan or something.
Okay, so you had the teaser, and then that trailer came out.
I am very glad it wasn't Swan.
Yeah, well, that's me and Pia. We made that.
Goddamn map.
And we love. Hey, the hatches. I don't know if you guys noticed it, but the hatch from the Swan is in this map.
Oh, yeah,
outside the cafeteria.
Now that you point it out, yeah, it is.
All right, for the uninitiated like myself, what is the Swan?
It's based on the TV show Lost. We made it in World of War. I don't know if you ever seen it.
No, I haven't.
Basically, the Avogadro
Okay.
comes in and punches your face into the ground before you can even get anywhere.
Yeah, that's all pie. That's all pie.
Once again,
Anytime,
this is my fault.
anytime you have a boss that like kicks your ass, it's Pie Man.
It
Yeah,
kicked
we-
the life out of me when I played it.
Hex and I are like the voice of reason in the team. We have to constantly tell Pie Man, that's way too strong. The players are going to hit.
The voice of nerfs.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like it's like either too much health,
divers.
too much damage. It's like Pie Man's always like, if it's not one-shotting the player, it's not fun.
I love it. I love this dynamic. What a good balance. And I think it pays off well as you see the boss fights. To touch on them, there are 2 major boss fights I noticed. One for when you do the skull and you end up in that new area, which I do want to talk about the environments.
Elysium.
Elysium.
Well, yeah.
And then the
Elysium,
one
Jaber.
after you take the
Elysium.
sub to victory, which is, by the way, they call it the dead sub. I know that model anywhere. As you go into...
It's actually the campaign from Black Ops 1 sub that they repurposed for Call of the Dead.
Yeah, buddy! I was looking
It's
for
a happy
more
little
information.
accident for
I
us.
loved it.
Treyarch reuses their own assets all the
Oh,
time.
100%.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I bitch about
Even
that.
throughout different teams, like through like between Treyarch and IW,
Mhm.
like they even share. I think it's because like Ravensoft will be like creating some assets, and I think it kind of trickles down into the other games.
And Raven, and I didn't know this until recently. Raven does like stuff for almost every studio.
Oh yeah.
Like they've even had their hands in like Shangri-La, and then we'll go on and do like everything else too.
So I think they might have like some assets that they would put in like just kind of like a backlog of, oh, we need this model, so we'll use it in this game.
So tell me, so what was like launch like? Launch
Like
day?
Nerve-wracking.
Stressful?
Like just I mean, me and Hex took the day off.
It's all
We were
just
like, we needed
did they work or just like not look at?
No, from work.
Oh yeah.
We wanted to be there the moment that it released, all the way to like the next day, because not only did we want to see everybody's reactions, because it's amazing to see everybody just like light up and everybody get together, but also if any little thing broke, we were on it. The moment it broke, we were looking into how to fix it.
And something did break. Like
we had an update about 2 hours into it because we were just like, as soon as we could get something fixed.
Yeah, somebody found a bad zone that we hadn't noticed in a whole year, apparently.
Yeah.
So do you have a new appreciation for Treyarch in that sense?
Oh,
and any of the
definitely.
devs?
Yeah.
As soon as you go live and all the shit that just goes wrong immediately.
Well, at the same time, they have a team of beta testers, right?
Yeah.
Our team of beta testers we brought in like maybe the last month, and
4 people.
it was like 4 people. So you're only gonna catch so much, right?
That's about the size Treyarch has for Zombroz.
But we've been beta
Oh, really?
testing each other.
Well,
like,
but they're testers.
They're trained.
They should
They're trained.
be.
for
and
this.
they're also
should
given
be.
tools.
They
they have
be.
debugging tools.
Yeah, they have a number of tools to like aid them in that as well.
We don't have. They didn't actually give us those.
Even we don't have any debugging tools, so it's like there's a lot of things optimization wise that we are trying our best to improve, but we're doing it blind.
Yeah.
Which
Well, that sucks.
the new thing we're working with that might help.
Yeah.
Yeah. We potentially have some fixes that Pyman was looking into.
Exciting.
I mean, yeah, we're the Umbertome system in Black Ops 3. We looked into it, and we can have a bunch of different groups, and so there's a good chance we could up the performance. But I don't have the map file. Like Jibber has the main map file. Like I just have a test map. So we need to play around with that. But we're hopeful. And I think we're hopeful, right, Jibber?
Oh yeah, like I feel really good about that because it's what was happening before performance wise is a lot of the map was being loaded when you shouldn't even like have it loaded. So you'd be like on one side of the map, and the other side, for some reason, the Umbra system wasn't picking it up to deload it, and so people were getting some pretty bad performance from that.
Yep.
We're surprised we even haven't run into like G-Spawn yet. Like people have gotten up to like round 100 by now.
Hell yeah.
I saw somebody at 211 today.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
That's excitement.
Yeah,
Wow.
I was worried about that because I've only tested to about like round 60.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to hear what your perspective was from day one. You have streams open. I mean, typically Treyarch has explained that or a Sledgehammer, they have a cafeteria and they have all the monitors up in Sledgehammer, and then they'll be watching and they're cheering when people go down, but an Easter egg and stuff like that.
Oh my
How
God.
are you guys feeling? Like, who were you
I-
watching? How was the day going?
I didn't understand. I didn't know they had that. Like when Black Ops 4 came out, they were all sitting in a cafeteria, and they all saw those blue screens pop up.
Yeah, that'd be like
It
heart
wasn't
wrenching.
their cafeteria because Treyarch doesn't have the cafeteria Sledgehammer does, from what Cameron
Uh-huh.
Dayton told us. Treyarch was all watching, but they're all watching and seeing the blue screens, and it was
Oh,
horrifying.
man.
They were
Oh,
all
my
seeing
God.
that
Oh, yeah,
live,
they're
and they're just
watching.
like, "We can't fix this. We can't
That-
pipe that out. Like,
Mhm.
oh my God, what are we gonna do?"
That's what we were sitting there hoping for. Like no G spawn, no G spawn, no G spawn.
Yeah, so like it was nice that we at least were like sitting at our computers, like
Yeah.
ready to bounce on any bug fixes that we needed.
Yeah, you don't have
But
Activision
yeah,
and
we-
Sony waiting for you to get approval to send a patch through or any bullshit
Yeah.
like that.
How
Yeah.
fast can you send out a patch? So you make a fix, you put out the patch.
We
From
gotta
like when you
upload
send
the
it.
whole map file.
So you gotta-
It gets compressed. It's currently 6.32 gigs, I think,
Okay.
Mhm.
and it gets compressed down to about 3 gigs.
Okay.
That gets uploaded to Steam. So I'd
guys have
say
slow
that
internet?
whole. No,
3 gigs doesn't sound bad to me.
no. It's just the whole. It takes a bit to compress it because what it has to do is it has to start
Mhm.
chunking all
Yes.
the larger file because
No.
we have one massive XPack file which contains all the images, the models. It contains the compiled map and all this like really dense stuff.
Absolutely.
That's got to figure out how to chunk it.
Mhm.
That makes a lot more sense.
But yeah.
And then so it goes on to the Steam like workshop, and then can people like download the update immediately, or do then people now have to wait for like the cache to update?
Yeah.
It was kind of like what you guys were talking about with the OBS. Like we had to wait for it actually to update, like with the server.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I think what it has to do is like even it's probably going to be uploaded to whatever your closest server is. So
Yeah.
in my case, it's somewhere West Coast. So probably people on the West Coast are going to get it quicker, and then it's going to try to like populate it onto all the other servers, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
So I feel that it's probably going to be a bit delayed for anybody who's further from whoever's uploading.
That makes a lot of sense, though.
I will say it's not the most important question in the world, but I was just curious how that worked. I didn't know like if you drop the update and then people can get it immediately, or if it takes time.
Even us, like I have to read. The funny thing is, I'm the one uploading it, but if I want to play that version of the map, I even have to download it. It's
I love it.
weird.
And we had to wait for Steam to actually kick in and like.
Damn.
You get like we're trying to like close Steam, open like Black Ops 3, just like come on, just start downloading it. Yeah, because a lot of times it just doesn't download, so you gotta like force it.
If you notice, Black Ops 3 is not the most optimized game.
Like any COD is.
Like there. If you watch, I'm the one that I think I found this right, Jibber. Like if you have a bad computer or something like that, and like you're loading up a map, you'll see like one of their trees is floating out of the ground.
Yeah, the cutscene, you know, the forest. There's a tree. Anytime that you get kicked out of a game, it shows you the frozen forest.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
There's a tree that's floating off the ground that Hex noticed, and I've never noticed it because my computer's running quicker than his, so I never get to that point in the little cutscene.
Yeah, you can actually see a model sticking out of the ground.
It's just a floating tree.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, their computers are so good over there. Like everything just runs so fast, I never noticed it.
Yeah. So that's something that I feel like they don't do enough testing on, is taking a dumbed down, shitty, god awful version of a computer and testing it for bugs and seeing how one of the consumers who's going to try and break your game, how they consume it versus having all the high end equipment they have.
Oh yeah, they don't check like the lowest settings that they.
I'm not sure, to be honest.
I'm sure they
might.
probably do, but like it still squeaks through. You can still see
Yeah.
that stuff get through.
Oh,
over and
they're
over.
never going to fix it because it's a video, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, it's just a video. It's a
that's
precompiled
even
big file.
funnier that none of the artists.
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah, it's not like an actual in-game thing that they're like panning past. It's an actual video.
Well, Jay Rizzo is going to be the first person in the world to point that shit out. Anytime there's a texture bug or something's clipping, I have a beautiful Twitter timeline of Rizzo being like, "What the fuck? What is this shit? Look at this shit." Oh,
That's what sucks
great.
about making mods now. Like you'll notice little things in games, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, even in like looking at other games, like if we're playing Call of Duty, it's almost like a curse. When you start getting into this stuff,
Yeah.
you notice it instantly, and it almost ruins it.
100%. Clipping drives me nuts. Hair is the number one thing in all video games that drive me nuts. Hair clips so bad, or you have a sword and the sword is going through a bag on their side.
Yeah.
It's like, this stuff drives me nuts. And it's
Hey,
only
Unreal
'cause
5.
you looked too deep into it. You peaked. You got the well of knowledge. You drank a little too much. You're like, oh, I go back. Go back.
Can't enjoy video games anymore. But no, I find that it's kind of nice because then you get to see these studios are real people working as well. Like nobody's going to have the flawless game that they set out to have.
Oh, certainly.
There's always going to be these little things.
Yeah.
Tell me about some of the
And
features.
there's
inside the game.
compromise.
Oh,
No, I was just going to say that's the compromise of it. Where it's like, there's going to be mistakes. You just got to do your best.
Oh, definitely.
Mm-hmm. You were saying?
For features, we have helmets.
Yes, so I want to get into. There's a multitude of features in here, not just the helmets, but also the number pad. You had a little Alpha Omega action going on in there.
All that.
And I want to talk in detail about the boss fights as well. I think those things, I want to highlight all those before I talk a little bit about the environment.
Yeah, sure.
So tell me about
anything in particular.
Feature, what feature do you want to talk about first? Is there anything that you
helmets,
enjoyed working on?
Let's go.
Lex loves his helmets.
Let's talk about
Lex's
the helmets,
reaction
baby.
to the helmets was wild. So I watched Lex's stream to get a sense of like all the deeper shit in the map, and Lex walks in and sees all the possible helmets, and he's just like,
"Oh my god!" Nobody's even found one of them yet.
Yeah, well, they know what it is because somebody went in and ripped the image file out.
Oh, okay.
Classic, fucking classic. Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
modded map, guys. Come on.
I saw it on Twitter. Somebody's like posting it around. They're like, "Oh, look what I found!" It's like, no, you did not find that, you little shit.
That's great.
But yeah, it's funny because we try to add all these little things that you might not find on your first playthrough. It's just to kind of add a little more replayability, and I think that's kind of what we tried to set for all of these features was just to make the map more replayable. Mm-hmm. What did you miss on the first run that you can now find because you know the map a little bit better?
Mm-hmm.
So, like there's a bunch of little features. So, like for instance, Hex was saying the helmets. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that's like a lot of these features are existing from other Treyarch maps.
Sure.
But we just tried to match the best we could to them.
Sure.
To keep it as official as possible.
Well, the shark helmet is the one I experienced, and it's hilarious. I love it. It looks so goofy. That's the right type of humor, I think, that Zombies needs to walk that line. Where all of a sudden, inside this map, you put the shark hat on, and you're like, this is great. This game's great. Where when you get a little, like, some of the stuff I remember experiencing in BO3 and BO4, you start going like, are we taking this seriously or not? I don't know where we are.
Yeah, that's
right
like
now.
intentional. Like, just either you go all the way in or not at all, right?
Right. And this was so like the map is having fun, is what I constantly found. And even with the boss fight, some of the lines for the what do you guys call them? The deep diver?
The Uber diver.
Diver is the one in the boss fight, and then it's just the diver who walks around.
Gotcha. So the one in the boss fight, the deep diver. I mean, his quotes, I felt reminiscent of George at times where he just, oh God, what were some of the good ones about, like, I see who's next, you. It was classic.
Oh,
like,
I knows these.
Yes, go ahead. Some of
the next harpoon victim. But I'd added some cooler things to make it sound not as dumb.
Yes.
Like I did the voice for the diver, and I've like a lot of my inspiration was George and the Patriarch.
Yes.
From Killing Floor 2 because I love him. He's really funny. So I took a lot of inspiration from that. There was a lot of quotes that didn't make it in because it was size, like a lot. Like we had quotes for like YouTuber specific quotes where we were gonna taunt specific people.
We were gonna make one for you.
Oh,
we
get
had
the
one
fuck
for you.
out of here!
And they were just like, it's too much in the map. Like it's like the size was getting really big.
Sure.
So we're just like, it's not worth it. So we decided to cut that. But that was the original idea. So I had a few in there.
You nailed it,
but
man.
yeah,
I had those
thank
George
you.
vibes immediately from it. And again, that added to this, like, they took their map seriously. They were like, we're gonna make a really goddamn good map. But but I definitely constantly had this feeling where it wasn't like this. We're trying to prove we got the greatest goddamn map ever. We're so much better. That wasn't there. This was clearly like, we know we love this. We want to do something good here. And the tone of it, the writing of it is something that I feel like I haven't experienced in a long time. And maybe that's why I'm so excited and giddy about it and singing so much praise. It was just refreshing to enjoy something like this map and the effort you guys all put in. So I don't want to be too commendy about it, but seriously, I do want to commend you for the effort you put forth into Leviathan.
What was that? Who was that guy that we had do the actual Ultimus voices? What was his name?
Keegan.
Mm-hmm. We had a guy who did like spot-on voices.
Keegan Kelsey. He did the Ultimus voices for us. So you can actually hear. He did a spot on Richtofen.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Like basically, we have a little conversation that happens in the game where Dr. Wells says his little thing, basically going, "Oh, Richtofen, my friend," talking to him. And we're like, well, how do we get it to be a little more of a connection between the two of them if we don't have the actual voice actor to be able to play these characters? So
we could have, but we would have had to pay that guy a lot of money. Because he does that cameo thing online or whatever.
I gotcha, yeah. But probably by the word is another.
Yeah. We're not gonna pay that guy that much money.
I feel that. And this
that becomes a challenge of how dense can we make our story in as few words.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure Keaton was at ZWC. I'm pretty sure I met him in MC Sports has met him, and I'm pretty sure both ZWCs. He even did some of his voice acting of those characters. He is spot on with the man.
Oh, he's amazing.
He's a talent. He really is.
I mean, bouncing between like Richtofen and Nathan Drake and like all these other characters, pretty crazy.
That's awesome. It really
Imagine like the conversation he can have with himself.
Which he probably does.
With all these characters bouncing back and forth.
Yeah, no, really phenomenal.
Tell me more about the helmets, though. How many other helmets are there? I only saw the shark. What are the other ones that you're willing to discuss, minus the hidden?
I think because there's 5, but I think we can tell you what all of them are because clearly it was leaked.
Up to you guys.
So yeah, we have the shark helmet, which is basically going to speed you up underwater.
Okay.
Which is great because a lot of the maps underwater.
And they all let you breathe underwater, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So you don't need your scuba mask anymore. You can pick up the hack things underwater. So yeah, the shark mask, number 1, super easy to get. Then we have the leaper mask, or the Nova Crawlers.
Gotcha.
Which is the creepiest mask of them all. God, why did I do this? It's literally, you have a leaper's head on your head.
Oh.
So it's like the mouth is open and your face is in the mouth.
Yes. Just like the Margot
It
mask.
is so creepy.
Yes.
It is so creepy.
Awesome. What's that one?
So that's the second mask. That one is going to give you a little bit more defense and a little more offense against the leapers.
Gotcha.
So
cool.
if you have a hard time with leapers, that mask is for you.
Okay.
So the next one from that would be the golden scuba mask.
Cool. Nice choice.
That one's pretty cool because it actually increases your health by 1, and then you also get a bit of a speed boost.
Dope.
So you can take an extra hit wearing that mask.
That's good shit.
And it looks cool too, because I mean, like it's like this nice contrast with the black suit.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
I think the 4th mask. I'm gonna save the one that's people haven't found yet for the last. But the 4th mask is we call it the Kraken mask, but it's the God mask from Revelations.
Sure. Did you retexture?
We're like, no, we got lazy on that one.
That's fine. Got lazy. 3-man team.
I threw that in like last second because we were planning 4, and I was like, we need like one more kicker of a mask.
For
so
the
that's
boss, yeah,
because that one's like, if you want a God tier mask, you wear the Kraken mask or the God mask. And then lastly, you can wear the diver's mask, his golden diver mask. You can wear that.
Yo!
And that is the best looking mask in the game.
That's
it's really cool.
Nobody's found it yet.
Wow, I'm
Nobody-
At least that we
somebody
know of.
does
Yeah.
now. That sounds exciting.
That's the leak one.
Yeah, that's the one they leaked it, where they found the image of it, but they don't know how to get it.
We
Well-
did have a guy send Jaybird a picture saying, "Hey, I beat it," and then you can see off in the corner like an external like tool to like help you cheat.
Yeah, he's got like 1 billion points, and it's like in the corner, it's just like infinite health and like points, and like it's like, come on, man! Like,
If you take the
did
chance,
you beat it? Did you really?
Yeah. I actually appreciate the message you guys put in because I normally get really pissed off when map modders don't allow you to cheat in the maps because as a YouTuber, I just want to no clip and show off your goddamn map. And I want to show all the features. Just let me cheat so I can be like, guys, look how awesome this map is. All right. But you guys, because of the Easter egg inside it, you put up a little message being like, hey, just respect us during launch. We're going to let you do this. Just give us like a week, basically. All right, come back and you can do whatever you want with it. And people solved it, I believe, day one. Lex and
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, jeez, that was
He
quick.
played for like 13 hours. I don't know how the man was still alive.
Yeah. Oh my god, he didn't stop. I don't think he even went to eat anything. He just like nonstop.
That's my boy. That's my boy.
It was really funny watching people do the Easter egg because like we're like, oh god, they're going through too quickly. So I remember when we were watching Glitching Queen's team play, they like one of them got down during the like one of the steps where the power goes out. And we're like, this is it. We're like, they're going to lose because you don't get your perks back. I'm like, one of them drops, their whole team's going down.
Oh, I love it.
So we were like getting giddy when they were actually going down.
Die.
That's such like a Treyarch moment rooting against the players.
Oh, do they do that?
100%.
They do. They legitimately root against us so that we're slower to beat the Easter egg. Like they will, if people are like dying on the boss fight, they're happy. Assuming it's not because something's broken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's not broken, then they're happy. The bullshit, it's that fine line of like, are they having fun? Good. Let's keep making sure they're having fun and kicking their ass.
I did not know they did that. That's fun, actually.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You guys have. It feels like they had a softer Treyarch release here in this map, which is
that's what
that's
cool.
That's
what I totally get those vibes from. It's very much like it's got to be so much fun to watch people like solve through your Easter egg and see.
Oh, it is. It's awesome. But
what was your favorite moment during those Easter egg solve? Was there something that stuck with you while watching people trying to solve it? Either
Dr. Zav. Dr. Zav.
Okay.
People's reaction to Dr. Zav. He's the scientist behind the door.
Yeah.
And you had to escort him. And there was a bunch of people who just could not believe that when the door opens and he walks out and like he's a physical character. Because a lot of times in these Treyarch games, it's just like, oh, it's just this guy behind the door. You won't ever get to see him. He doesn't actually physically exist in the game. He's just a voice.
Yeah. That was my exact thought because think about it, every time Treyarch's done that, you got our characters stuck behind the wall. You got Brock and Gary. They've been doing this for years.
Even up to today, like Marlton behind the door.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like
we wonder why they actually don't do that.
This was a good flex. I got to be honest with you on them because when that door opened, I was like, "Fuck yeah." This is great because I thought I saw it on a clip from I think Greg Online of him walking. So I thought he was coming from the canister. I thought it was the same model because I only saw him push back quickly. So I thought it was the doctor. I forgot his last name. Dr. Wells. And then when I saw the other clips when he comes out, I'm like, yeah, I love that. That's good shit.
And you guys seen the whole Easter egg, right? The ending and whatnot.
I have.
So that is actually the Pentagon thief.
He's Yuri.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we tried to weave in their story with ours.
We truncated his last name so it says Zav.
Oh, you guys are wonderful. That's so. And I like the cute nod at the end too, where I'm not going to spoil it for the people watching the stream in case they do want to see the little twist at the end, but I loved how you did it. The little thing once the game over screen happens, it's just like, again, it's like it's that's the tone I remember of the past per se, or maybe not specifically of the past, but that's the tone I seriously appreciate it in this map where it's just this like we're not here to outdo anything, but we're gonna silently just let our work speak for ourselves. We're gonna smile about the enjoyment we're getting out of this. And I was like, God, this is everything about this is just it was a feel good moment.
Another one was when you're at before the boss fight.
Mm-hmm.
I think, what is it, Elysium, right, Jaybird?
Yeah, Elysium. Oh my god! Like we tried to build this up because people knew Elysium from the original. You'd get the 1-inch punch there. You blew up the statues. You go in the middle, you get your 1-inch punch. We wanted to troll the crap out of anybody who knew the original.
Okay.
So we were like, why don't we throw a mid boss fight there, like Zetsubo, how they do the little Spider Queen?
Yeah.
And we're like, we could make it all cinematic. They drop through the floor. So we had it planned for months. I think we planned it back in like probably August.
One of the first things we planned. I think it was before August even, maybe.
Well, a lot of people were like preparing to like redo the Easter egg, and they thought it was going to be the same thing. It's like, oh man, they don't even understand.
Yeah, so it was really awesome getting everybody's reaction, because it's just like, oh, I'm about to get my 1-inch punch. What the hell is happening? I'm falling through the floor, and then next thing you know, it cuts into the camera, panning around the room.
Oh my!
That's how you subvert expectations.
Yes,
that's the best way to, because it, like the players that have gone through Leviathan previously are going to have that like, oh shit moment, but so will the players who are just first experiencing the map.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was the same thing with the ending for the original Leviathan, where you just like leave on the sub, but you don't actually leave. It just ends the game.
Mm-hmm.
You just press the button. It's like game over. Good job.
That was it, yeah.
That feels like it feels like one of those situations where it's like the technology wasn't there.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Now we have the technology.
I think we could have done something back then, but it was more like we were just like, let's just wrap it up. We've been working on this for like a year, and we were just tired. So we were just like, let's.
There was a lot of stuff in the original that got scrapped and now made it into this one, like the traps.
The fan traps were going to be in the original, and we didn't put them in.
Yeah.
And then we did it for this version of the map. And also the flooding water. I did want to do that for the original, but then I'm like, nah, it's not going to work because we were hitting G-Spawn for the original. But some of the those things made it into the remake.
But we were able to like test it like crazy as we were making it, and like we kind of solved all the G-Spawn issues.
Yeah, we had a bunch partway through, but then we did some heavy testing and just found narrowed down the issues, made sure that they never happened, and then all three of us went with basically their specific weapons and perks that were causing G-Spawn originally, and we just narrowed it down, and we're just like, okay, use only that and get up to round 50. Make sure you don't G-Spawn.
Gotcha.
So we were trying to make sure heavily that the map's not going to crash on people.
That is awesome to hear, but it sounds like a very tedious process.
Yeah, we don't have any of the tools they have, which sucks.
Well,
all of the
even funnier, John, remember when we visited one time, we literally saw someone testing for a high rounds, and they just they left their controller on the desk, and they had it rubber banded or whatever, and they were at round 220 on a zombie map. Do you remember?
I don't know if I saw that. You must have saw that and not me.
My perk poster was above it. So
that's how you noticed it.
No, someone pointed out, they're like, read your perk poster. I'm like, shut the fuck up, don't embarrass me. And then and then below it, I'm like, is that a map? Is that a map we don't know? That's a big round. What the fuck is that? Nobody's at the desk.
200, Jesus.
220, and it was just beat red on the screen. So I don't know what testing they were doing, and they were face down.
Oh, they were probably God.
Yeah,
they were probably in God mode or something.
Most certainly, they were in God mode because it was just but. That's not. Is that testing anything? If you're in God mode, that doesn't seem like it's testing what you need.
Well, they might be testing spawned entities, right? That was what we were testing.
There you go.
We were trying to make sure that, I don't know if you know what G-Spawn is. It's basically where we've exceeded the amount of spawned entities that the game can handle. Okay. It's not that your computer is going to break down because you've used up too much memory. It's that basically in the engine, they've set a specific amount of entities that they're allowed to be spawned, and if you go over it, G-Spawn.
Gotcha.
Is this calculated throughout the entire game?
Yeah, it's constant. If you go over that at any point,
does this work like the entity count in Black Ops?
Every Call of Duty.
Okay, yep. Then I know exactly what's going on.
It was very common on Shangri-La.
What do we have 1024 on World at War or something like that?
Yeah, but they had the issue with older Call of Duties is they had spawn entities, triggers, I think script origins. I don't think script structs, but like there was like a bunch of different entities that all caused, like they all added up to the G-spawn error. But in Black Ops 3, it's only spawn entities, I believe. I think the other ones have a different limit.
What was the thing on Shangri-La? It kept crashing or something?
Yeah, that's the I forget the name. It's like that baby maker gun, but
Oh,
that sounds right.
You'd make the small zombies. You could G-spawn with that thing.
That sounds very familiar to me, actually. During the old,
is a G-spawn? Wait, is a G-spawn the same as like a Black Ops reset? That's what I'm trying to figure out right now.
Reset?
Yeah, resets.
It doesn't start the game over. I'm pretty sure it ends the game at G-spawn.
Oh yeah, you're gonna crash.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you are on a PlayStation 4, you're probably blue screening.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it was.
If you were on like older console, Xbox, PS3, it'll probably crash to the game's main menu and say G-spawn.
Yep.
Okay. Well, yeah, when I was watching that Black Ops 4 stuff happen with the blue screen, it's like, geez, like these maps do have a lot in them. Holy crap.
Yep.
Like Blood of the Dead was huge. Oh my god.
They're insane. Extremely ambitious, though. That's what I'll definitely
give
Treyarch on that.
I remember getting to the Brutus fight, and we're literally in the cutscene, and we G-spawned.
Oh!
Or blue screen. It was just like, we didn't even get into the fight. We just were in the cutscene.
I want to know how they solved that, because I remember watching a bunch of YouTubers just getting insanely pissed off.
They put out a message saying that they added in, I assume, some sort of way of catching this stuff. But it's kind of weird because I keep mentioning this, that they don't have try catches in their GSC code. So they, like, a lot of times in these, like in other languages like C++ and all this stuff, you get the try catch statement, which is you try something, you catch the exception.
Okay.
And then you deal with it. In GSC, it's kind of, you get an error, you crash the game.
I'm pretty sure I know they explained it to us, but I don't know if they publicly explained it. And I don't think we're allowed to talk about what the crash was. But from the sentiments, I'm pretty sure we can express was just like, it's so fucking dumb. It's just one of those things where it's like, really? It's like, and they're not dumb. The studio's not dumb. No. These are intelligent people creating this game. They get it. But it was one of those things where just like, fuck, God.
I kind of just assumed like they were just like forced to keep going, after that whole campaign thing that went away, and they just made like Blackout. I was kind of expecting like, oh, they just got forced to do a bunch of stuff really fast.
Things happened.
Context switching is really bad. If you're jumping between projects really quickly, I'm a software engineer. Jumping between two different projects really fast, I start losing my train of thought, and I make errors like really, really quickly. It's one of the worst things that, as like a developer, that you don't want that. So if they're bouncing their devs between campaign, zombies, and Blackout, like that's it's gonna take its toll.
I want to talk about the environment, and then we'll get to just about anything else you guys want to talk about the map, and then probably topic time questions. But I got Rapture vibes so goddamn hard when playing this version of the map. The old map, I felt nice, but man, I was feeling good about this. But what took me over was Elysium, I believe is what you called it. That is where I got my Atlantis vibes. And I was like, oh no! Oh, I want a whole map. Because I'm sitting there when I'm playing there, I'm like, this is very Rapture. I love it. It's not my Atlantis, man. I've always been wanting this Atlantis map. If BO5 has Atlantis, that's how you're going to get Reed to come back to zombies, is with an Atlantis map. Yeah. But when I got in that fucking temple, and then you guys dropped me in the temple, I was like, God, this is... God damn, was that so good environment-wise. That is... I want a whole map like that when it comes to just that Atlantis vibe. Oh, it was so good.
Yeah, I love that too.
The other thing that caught me was your skybox. I don't know, it didn't look that complicated. I feel like you cheated somehow, flip in the water, whatever, but it immersed me. I love looking at what looked like this, like you were lost at the end of the bottom of the ocean. It was kind of interesting how that's designed.
So in most cases, you have what's called a skybox.
Yes.
But if you wanted it a little bit dynamic, you can't really do that because it's a static image.
Okay.
So what we do is I made a skybox in a sense, but it's just a gradient. It's from a darker blue to a lighter blue.
Okay.
So that way, if you look right up, you get some nice light blue coming in, casting kind of like sunlight coming through the water.
Yes.
And then way up in the air is a massive ass patch that just has a water texture on it.
That's what yes. When I was playing with Juan, I'm like, I bet if I wanted to no clip your map so bad, I'm like, I bet if I no clip out, we're like either in a goddamn box or they've done something where they put a texture to give the effect of the water and they're hiding it up there. What the skybox actually is. It was driving me nuts when I was playing because I'm like, it looks so good. I fucking love this. What did they do? I gotta know what they did.
You could thank Chroma for that because we had one iteration of this. And he's like, it's bad. You got to fix it. And I'm like,
okay.
You know what? You're right. It is bad.
Yeah. So we had to hide everything with mountains.
Used to be able to see clouds through the water, and it was just so weird looking.
That is different.
It's a sea cloud. It's one of our sea clouds.
Yeah. So.
Well, I loved it. I loved what you did.
It got a couple overhauls, and then we got to a point where we really like it.
Yeah, but the tunnels are definitely stolen from BioShock, though. Like Jaybird made them, but the idea of those tunnels definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely inspired.
Loved it.
But like we overhauled the tunnels quite a bit, though. Like they're actual models now that we created. They're basically 1-to-1 scale with the original because the original they were created entirely in Radiant.
Okay.
But you kind of run into these issues where. Like back in the day, we hit like patch limits because there's so many patches. Patches are basically flat surfaces, and then brushes are like boxes.
Okay.
We hit a limit back in the day where we hit way too many patches, and it was all because of the tunnels.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, just recreated them in Blender. And just try to make them look as detailed as possible.
Did you do all your animations in Blender, or did you also use like After Effects to put the whole cinematics together?
Okay, so it's easier animation-wise to use Maya. I love Blender. Blender's my go-to. Okay. But a lot of the Call of Duty rigs and stuff like that, they have everything plugin-wise. Mm-hmm. It's all set up for Maya. Okay. So like the things like the diver standing up out of his throne, or the camera panning around the Elysium, or like the sub dropping into the water, like all that stuff, that was animated in Maya.
Gotcha. Okay. That was just general curiosity because of all the animation programs out there. I find it utterly fascinating.
But you are right. The whole Pantheon and Elysium, that's heavily inspired by like Atlantis, and that's basically it surrounds that as like an excavation team digs up an ancient structure.
Yeah, that's what I could gather from your radios and the loading screen, which again, love the loading screen touch, giving the classic comic book vibe feel and little details all around it.
There's 2 loading screens, actually. One of them is just kind of one we did as a fan thing that's just on Twitter.
Okay.
In these, we got, I believe his name is Rhett Connor.
Yeah.
Okay.
He designs basically loading screens for zombies, and we had him design one for us, and it looks amazing. But we kind of like the original one that's in the map. I actually did a 3D render in Blender. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of weird because it's actually, the reason why it looks 3-dimensional is because it's all physical objects.
Nice.
It's like the whole thing it's like a scene on a rock with a map, which is basically like the different pictures of the map, mm-hmm. as well as Hex designed a comic book, as well as I modeled a compass. We have the hacking device on there. We have some like a starfish, like just all these little things to kind of like fill it in.
Yeah, no, it looks great. I really enjoyed it. You know what? Before we get to asking you guys any features you want to maybe, or anything in particular you want to talk about the project before we move on to the Patreon questions, we should probably give the feedback, John, right? What we didn't like after I have gushed about the fucking map
oh boy,
for an hour and a half.
Where do I begin?
I mean, we're still working on the map and pushing out new stuff. So if you have any feedback that we could,
or any glitches that you've been hiding from us,
yeah, why are you hiding them?
Well, no. So I'm only kidding about like, oh, where do I begin? No. So Reed and I, when we were talking about the map before the show, the one thing that we really I think that we both agreed on was that the map is big and confusing.
Oh yeah.
I think the biggest thing that people need to understand looking at the map, because it is very disorienting. Even I remember working on the original, and because I was just making like specific rooms, so I didn't know the layout. I would get lost, and I worked on the map.
Yeah.
Damn.
But it is literally a giant circle.
It's a big circle. Biodome is the center of it. So if you get that idea, it's kind of easy to start wrapping your head around where everything is.
Dude,
okay.
I knew where Speed Cola was. I knew where it was, and I couldn't get to it. It was driving me nuts just because of the layout.
In the back corner of the map.
Yeah.
Past crash room.
Oh my god. You go from I couldn't remember. It's all those little, like, when you get to these junctions, basically. The little places where you hide out the junction was killing me. And I made the same mistakes I made in the original Leviathan, where I kept opening up everything around, but not power. I never went right. I would always go left, and I'd open the entire damn map up right before I get to power.
I think at one point we were talking about potentially centralizing the power a bit more, or like trying to make it a little more easy, but we just want to stick closer to the original because if I don't know, it's just
it was a situation. Absolutely stick to the original.
Yeah,
original. We weren't really like thinking like
we
were a lot younger when we made the original, so we weren't thinking like power should be centralized and that kind of stuff. So we just went with.
We wanted to make a big map, but we also wanted it to be a giant circle.
Yeah. So my criticism of like the map was, so when I found that I was playing it and I was just getting so disoriented and lost, and there were moments where it's like, oh, the excavator's coming down. I have no idea where the hacker is. I have no idea where the pads are. And if I knew, I don't think I could navigate well enough to find them. And obviously people play the map well enough and figure that out.
You learn it.
Like you learn by doing, and I would have figured out by doing as well. But there was that moment when I first heard that come down, and I felt a sense of like overwhelming dread of like, oh god.
Trust me, I've had it fall on my head like 3 times, and
yeah, and so like, and I didn't want to beat you guys down for anything like that, because one, I knew you were being faithful to the original, and 2, these are things you pick up over time as you play it more, so it makes sense. So like, the map was big and disorienting, but like that's not something to kill you over.
Definitely not.
There were some like minor changes to the map. Certain rooms were redesigned.
Yeah.
Hex did a lot of the redesigns for rooms, which are really good. But there was also small things like door widths were way too small in the original. People would get stuck on them all the time. So everything's a double door.
Nice.
And then, for instance, the power in the old map had this tiny little catwalk that you'd have to go around the corner to hit power. So it was even harder to find back on World at War. And you'd get stuck on there. Only one player could fit on the catwalk.
Fair enough. I think
Lex asked a very important question. How many Nocturne tokens NDUs is Leviathan?
How many inside would fit inside Leviathan?
Nox?
Are you familiar with this meme?
No.
I've seen this on like the COD Zombie subreddit a decent bit. Basically, using Nox as a unit of measurement. How many Nox is your map?
I'm trying to remember how far how long Noct is right now.
It's really not that big. It's just a little bit of an L shape, right?
That's why it's a great unit of measurement.
I feel like Noct could almost fit in reception with locker room.
Yeah. So it'd be 3. I want to say at least 3 long. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Oh god, we're getting the math.
Yeah.
I'm trying to count for us after the show.
I'm actually trying to fit them in.
I imagine it's a lot.
Well, you guys talk. I'm gonna actually do the math for this.
Oh boy.
Okay. Well, Lex, you're getting. I'm pretty sure Lex asked that question as a meme, but you're getting the answer.
So what I want to suggest is potentially with the confusion of it, and do whatever the hell you want. You're devs, all right? This is just feedback. Who gives a fuck what I think? But just for what the purpose is, like in Treyarch maps, I found the same issue I had with Leviathan I had with 9. Is the bottom circle of 9 especially around launch, and even to this day at some point, I just get freaking lost. I want to get to the bench. I want to get to the workbench. I know Zeus and Odin are on this side. I know Danu and Ra are on this side, and then I'll run the goddamn circle, and I'll always go the longest way to get to the shield bench, which is extremely frustrating. And one of the problems I have is both sides end up looking the same. Like the greenery that I'm like, associating with Danu shows up on both sides. One more obvious than the other, and that one's more Danu. So whether it be lighting or maybe something significant or coloring, people might be able to go like, oh, that's green side. Green side versus red side. Red side helps is power side, and I can get over that. And it only has to be like a certain door or a certain room, something to distinguish that path, whether you play with colors or signs, which I saw you have signs, but when I'm looking at the titles of the signs, I'm sitting there like,
what the heck is scrubbing room?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I'm gonna die. What the fuck is
We did have signs in the original. We were gonna do signs too in this one. I thought
we had signs above all the original doors, but in this one, it was just like, do we really want to go through the effort of making all those models?
Agreed. So I think there's definitely somewhere for you guys to find in your creative realm that little optimization to help guide the players a little more through the maps room to room, that like invisible hand that Treyarch seems to put in a lot of their maps that you go like,
I'm just imagining I'm just imagining now we like designed this like a hospital. It's got like the little lines on the ground showing you, you need to get to the washroom, follow this line.
To be fair, cafeteria does have that.
And also to be fair, if you're going for a hard map and your perspective is, fuck the players. I want it to be hard. I want them to get lost.
Oh, so you mean Pieman's perspective?
Yeah.
So that is something like also noted. I don't want to be ignorant if that is the intention, but I think for players not to get lost, I mean, even the split when I'm trying to run, Juan died at one point, and I know the layout. Normally I can pick this stuff up, but as soon as I exit out and you're underwater and you can go up to the cafeteria to get out of the water, but if I'll run to the right and I'll end up at the box location. I'm like, shit, no, I need to get back into the area, the compound to get to them, and then I'll run over to the left side and I end up by PhD. I'm like, it's another hour to get to him from here. So it's like
it's like starting a new job in a big company. You don't have no idea where you're going.
Yes, absolutely. And
you know where you want to be, but the route there is not clear.
Right. And after 2 games, though, I imagine, again, with more games, the more you play, the easier it is to learn the map. The only problem with that is you're not going to grip custom PC people to want to give it that chance. They're going to get lost and be like, fuck this, I'm out. Where Treyarch game can get away with that. That's more of the privileges the giant studio has over a custom PC map.
Now that I'm thinking, it'd be kind of cool to, you know how in BioShock they give you that little arrow above your head that shows you where you have to go? It'd be cool if that popped up when a player went down and it just guides you to them. That'd be kind of funny.
Now that's really interesting. You know what?
That would probably be crazy to script.
Probably.
Shows you like the shortest route there.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about that and I'm like,
think about that as a perk. That is an interesting idea. Put it out there.
I don't know, because that could get annoying. You ever try Vulture Raid?
100%. But at least a really interesting concept. Really neat.
Oh, yeah. I think that's why they put the glowing mechanic with the players. I think that's why
you can see through the walls.
Yeah. That's right. That's fair. But even though still, if your map is a son of a bitch to navigate, I can see them. Can't get to them.
They also did that in Black Ops 4. They show like the name of the area you're in at the top left corner.
True.
I also have to point out, like, it is really rewarding when you do know all the little jump spots and whatnot.
Absolutely.
Because then it's just like you feel like a master of like flying through the air. Like, take a jump pad. I know exactly where I need to go to get to you. It's like if I go through this one door, take this jump pad, and boom, I'm there.
Yes. And that is definitely the reward for getting deep into this map. If you guys didn't have the teleporter pads, I would have lost my mind with your map. I mean, it gets so big at that point once you really get the power on, everything going. It's like, this is crazy. It comes in so needed. It's
you know what this makes me think?
Yeah.
This makes me think that we need to add an old perk of ours called Porternade.
Oh, yeah.
It's basically you chuck a grenade, wherever it lands, you teleport there.
Oh.
It was done
like a
really
Minecraft,
well.
like Ender Eyes.
Yeah. We did it back on. Well, it was back on Hex's and Pieman's map Ragnarok. Back in World at War, and it was done insanely well.
Yeah.
I love the idea, but don't you think that'd be really easy to break and then create a million headaches?
No,
for you guys?
he did it. I don't know how you did it, Pi, but nobody ever broke it. And this was on World at War.
The only issues I could see is potential getting out of the map things, but a lot of that is you just check the zone. You check to see the grades in the zone, and then boom, you're good.
If your zone's really tight, like Ragnarok was, like nobody ever got out.
I don't know.
You
what
would have that better than me. That was just my first thought of it. It's like I bet there's like people would find a million ways to throw it, and then one of them would get them out. Or
Exo
something.
Zombies, they had the same equipment. Remember,
Yeah.
you could teleport out of the map.
Yep.
And
Yeah, you're
I
right.
didn't see a lot of glitches with that.
No, you're right.
It's basically just a zone thing. I think that's
so long as it's coded properly and you got some nice zones, I think it's a viable.
Good zones. I love
Yeah.
You can also check that you're not in a clip and not inside a model, and
yeah. You get the closest position on the nav mesh.
Any other feedback, John, that you had?
No, that was my only bit of feedback. It was just I felt the map at some points felt just like overwhelmingly big, but other than that, but that also comes with time.
Exactly.
we are also very aware of the whole FPS issue, though.
I was going to bring up my two things where I had an optimization. I'm playing at I have a monitor that refreshes at 144. I was playing at 120, I believe, and I was having some optimization issues. But like, are you kidding me? Like, COD has optimization issues. I don't expect a mod to have that shit solved with such a large map. That's where the problem's going to come. And you talked about earlier, some things aren't spawning or aren't despawning. That's exactly where it's coming from.
Yeah.
So we're hopeful about our solution. Like I want to I want to play it and see what it's like with the Umber stuff in it, and then hopefully we can get some real gains.
We were told, I think Jaber was told that their Umbra tools are very bad in Black Ops 3.
Okay.
Even IW uses the Umbra tools as well, and they knew that it was so bad that they left in the older version of culling stuff out, because Umbra is it's this third-party tool that despawns stuff when you're like looking through holes or looking at walls and stuff like that. Yeah. It's not very well done in our opinion.
Sure.
In most people's opinion.
And I'm sure they don't even use it now.
Well, I think Treyarch has coded their own system now. I believe.
I'm certain they have. I'm pretty damn confident.
I think it was just Black Ops 3 and then Black Ops 4. They're like, we're not using that.
Yeah, it's pretty bad in Black Ops 3.
Do you guys know Horizon Zero Dawn? That video game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did you ever see their behind the scenes about how they coded some of their game? I saw some documentaries about it.
I heard something about like whenever you're looking straight, whatever's behind you is just completely not even there. It's not even rendered.
Yeah. So
it's crazy.
That engine, I was curious if you guys knew anything about that engine, because when I saw that, I was just like, that's crazy. We're just like, the world is despawning as you go, and it's huge.
I'd be curious how accurate it is, because what if you have a situation where you have a model or a surface that wraps from in your view to behind you? So, like, if you had a building and you modeled that building and it's one model, you can't just get rid of the model because it's behind you, because it's also maybe partially on the corner of your screen. Else you just, all of a sudden, the building just pops out of existence. So it's either they're doing similar thing to what everybody else is doing, where, Call of Duty does that. If it's behind you, they try to de-render it as well. That's the Umber system. But I'd be curious to know if they actually break the model into pieces during the rendering process and then get rid of it. Because I saw this insane thing that just one guy was making his own game engine. I can't remember the guy's name. Sorry for not remembering it, but basically he was showing how crazy his culling system was. He had a rock it was just a rock model, so it was completely 360 degrees. You could look at the rock from any angle. It's a rock. Place it partially into the ground. Every bit of it that's in the ground now doesn't exist.
That's cool.
Now, Call of Duty does not have that at all.
Yeah.
The model's there. 100% of it's there. So
that's a huge thing. That's way less stress on the game.
That sort of tech, I think, is what's going to be in Unreal 5.
Yeah, definitely.
That's
They
exciting.
were like, they have that nanite technology that they were showing off.
Yeah.
That stuff is like, oh my god, that's tasty.
Okay, we will get to that. Let's get to the topic time questions, and then after topic time, we're going to talk about the future of all three of you and what your plans are, because it sounds like this is the final modded zombie map you guys are going to be working on.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
First topic time comes from Orange Man From. He says, I wonder if there are any considerations when developing a map for split screen or co-op. The heavy lifting is probably done by the engine, but what considerations are made for custom map split screen development? Likely UI considerations at the most, as I've had a map or two display perks incorrectly on dual screens. Just a question I don't feel gets asked a lot.
That's
I think with like the whole perks not aligning and whatnot, a lot of times what people end up doing is they just put like an icon and they're like, oh, we want it this many pixels off of the bottom left of the screen sort of thing. And, you know, you run into this issue where if you're doing a split screen, is it relative to the second player screen? Is it relative to the first player screen? And it kind of throws it off. And then you also have like the aspect ratios throw things off too. Mm-hmm. I have an ultra wide monitor, and Call of Duty's on older Call of Duties, they like stretch like crazy. Mm-hmm. And that looked pretty bad. But yeah, with the whole, I think the whole thing with like split screen, I think a lot of people do overlook that. Because I don't think
you use that often.
Yeah, it's not even when you think about like playing split screen, like back in the day, people used to play it all the time. You get the LAN parties going and whatnot. But like I think it's just kind of died off a little bit, and it's kind of overlooked.
It really is. Mm-hmm. It really has.
Yeah,
especially in the zombies community, because we just think about playing online with our buddies.
100%. I used to do split screen so much.
I did for Halo 2.
Mm-hmm. I used to do LAN parties at home all the time, and you didn't have to buy 4 consoles. It eventually went that way, where everyone just brought their consoles over, so we could all have our own monitor and our own screen. But back in the day, we had a 55-inch TV, and everybody played split screen.
Days.
Yeah. How
4
dare
people
you?
On it.
Yeah. Next question, Captain Murphy asks, is it possible coding-wise to make the Easter egg scientist escort step easier on solo? Or is what you code have to be the same for the solo as for a team? I'm asking because I'm struggling with that step on solo, even with the best weapons and specialists. Also, do you offer a layout of the map to download? It's such a great map. Thanks.
We do have a layout, a picture, don't we? We have like we have Raiderback's old drawn out layout. But the solo thing, we realized that was really hard. We saw Lex play it because he was having a tough time. I don't know how you can really get around that besides like having something that holds a zombie, and we were talking about that before.
Yeah, it's tough because as a solo player, your best option is to, take the legs off a zombie, make him a crawler, but as soon as you start getting too far away, they're going to despawn. They're going to come back as a runner.
Yeah.
Can we share this layout picture you sent?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Just credit to Radimax. He's the one who drew this. Radimax was actually one of the level designers on the original Leviathan with us. I guess he just was too busy and whatnot to participate in the remaster, but full credit to him when it comes to a lot of the layout design.
Yeah, the layout was basically him putting it together.
Yeah, he definitely had a lot of effort put into mapping. Like he was probably considered the lead mapper of the original project.
But we will definitely, because we've noticed the whole solo, step with Dr. Zav. It is
possible that we can scale things and make things easier. We are definitely open to taking any feedback from people, like if they have any suggestions. One option is we scale down the amount of leapers that spawn in during that. But as for the zombie aspect, they're probably going to stay the same.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You don't touch the zombies. Like you can. Here's a little secret. Like you can just hold one zombie at the end and just run around.
Yeah, I saw one person hold one zombie, and he kept them partially away from Dr. Zav so he doesn't start hitting Zav. And so he'd stay close enough to Zav to get him moving, but keep the zombie
before he
just away from him. And then if Zav did get knocked down, don't kill the zombie, let him knock him completely down. pull a zombie away, revive him, and then just keep going. You know, there's tactics you can do. It's not the most elegant thing, but yeah.
Next question. AHL says, bringing back an old one. But can you guys
partially away from Dr. Zav so he doesn't start hitting Zav?
Much love.
I've got this
so
one. I remember.
Stay close enough to Zav to get him moving. But
Magical fun time waterhole. Before he gets
away from him. If did get knocked down, don't kill the zombie. You know,
what's happening?
Let him knock him completely.
That's the name
down,
of our
pull the zombie away,
Discord.
revive him, and then just keep going. You know,
our Discord. We have like a private Discord for the Leviathan team and the beta testers, and it's called Magical Fun Time Waterhole.
Question. AHL says, bringing back an old one. Fun time water.
My bad.
It's waterhole.
Water.
Word, 2 words.
Fun time waterhole. Yeah, separate. Oh no, I can't count, so never mind.
Yeah.
Fun time waterhole. I mean that fits. Fine.
Yeah, it works. It works.
Okay, never mind. I can't count anyways.
There we go. Next one. Cheese Puff says, question for y'all. What is your favorite map? What is your favorite method in a map to unlock Pack-a-Punch? And to the devs, how many ideas did you go through until you settled on jumping into the submarine? And what finally made you decide that?
That's Pie Man. That was all Pie Man. But it's all based on Call of the Dead with the whole moving system.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been cool if we could have had the actual sub room moving around. You look out like the windows or something.
Terrible.
That was the idea, but that's kind of hard.
We put these cameras on the sub in the new one, and it was really cool. You could see through like the windows and whatnot, but then it just tanked performance because now you got this camera flying around the map, rendering everything.
Yeah.
So that wasn't very good.
But it's definitely based off Call of the Dead's moving Pack-a-Punch.
Yeah, so I'd probably say Call of the Dead.
But that's all Pie Man. That's Pie Man coming up with like a really cool idea like that.
Yeah,
and that was like young me too, because it was that was from the original too. So
that's high school pre-pothead Pie Man.
That's like 6 years ago.
Not talk about that.
We're gonna talk about that. Oh, God. But okay, so I guess then also going to the other part of his question, favorite method to unlock Pack-a-Punch. I think that's just like in general.
Oh, I never really liked the whole idea of unlocking Pack-a-Punch. I don't know. That's just me. I like the Pack-a-Punch just there, or like having a cool little thing like Call of the Dead where it spawns in different locations, or like Shangri-La. Shangri-La was cool. I like that.
Like they don't necessarily need to be unlocked. Like you could just always have like a cool way to access.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Like the Shangri-La when you step on the pads, that was cool. That was fun and short. Doesn't have to be like, oh, you got to do this and this and this and this and that.
Yeah, for solo players, it's fun. For co-op, people grind their face to the ground.
Yeah,
just step on it, please.
They should have made it so that you could have just walked around and hit the buttons yourself.
I agree.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a big believer in like 1, maybe 2-step Pack-a-Punch.
Yeah, I don't get why there's like 40 different steps just to get the Pack-a-Punch.
It's all about presentation. I mean, what you guys were describing to me, I just thought how cool it would be if you go up onto like a pad and the water thing shoots you up sort of like a geyser, but you're floating on like a rock up to where Pack-a-Punch is up at some place and it's covered in some, Atlantean. I'm thinking Atlantis. You had me thinking Atlantis. So it shoots you up to a higher ledge, and it's all this greenery and overgrowth, seaweeds on there. Pack is right there. It's presentation.
See, that would be cool. Yeah.
If I were to pick one right now, it'd be Kino. I love the fact that you are above the map.
Yeah.
Sure.
And you get to you get this kind of safety zone, and then you get to experience like the map from a different angle. You get like this different perspective. It's like, oh wow, you're actually up in like the projector room. I just thought that was really cool.
Black Ops 1 nailed it. You're right. Like presentation, the way they did it, like Shangri-La and Kino, it's just awesome.
Moon.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
I love Ascension though. Ascension's my favorite with the rocket taking off and.
Mm-hmm. All right, next one. Magna Cloud 15 says, just this past Tuesday, I've got my first gaming PC, and custom zombie maps and mods was so exciting and intriguing to hear. And then to see the Leviathan trailer, I was even more excited to get on PC. My question for the guys is, what map personally did you pull your ideas or inspiration from when we remastering Leviathan? And what were your personal favorite maps made by Treyarch?
Jurassic Truck.
Yeah, I know Pie.
The original was I was basically Underwater Moon. Like people call this Underwater Moon, and it's 100% accurate.
Yeah, it is. Moon's awesome.
Moon. I loved Moon when it originally came out. I love the excavators. I just thought they were so cool. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I need to put those in a map. And that was, once again, 14-year-old high school mate, or 16, I don't know however old I was back then.
I love Ascension. Ascension's awesome.
So yeah, so Moon was a lot of big inspiration for the original, and then for the remaster, I think the biggest inspiration was the original. But and then a lot of the 3 maps we added, like the time trials and the
oh shit, yeah. I didn't even talk about the time trials and the challenges. Awesome
Mm-hmm.
time
yeah.
the map. Awesome.
That was something that I thought
inspired by Black Ops 1.
Yeah. I was trying to think of ways that we could add replayability. Probably, I don't know, I'd say maybe like 5 or 6 months ago. Mm-hmm. And one of the first things that came to mind was the trials that Gorod and Zetsubo and Revelations have. And so I was thinking, like, it'd be pretty cool if we just have something like that kicking around the map. It gives you a little extra thing to do, but let's not tie it into the Easter egg, because I know a lot of people kind of had a lot of gripes with the Gorod Easter egg.
Good call.
So and then like it was just kind of like a little thing, it gives you that little bit of extra just challenge to the map. Like if you wanted to, like one of the challenges, the 3rd tier one that gets you a free perk is like survive 5 rounds in a specific location on the map. That is tough. Like you do that too late in the match, you're stuck in the locker room for 5 rounds on round 30. That's insane.
Yeah, good luck.
You gotta do some planning with that one. And then the other thing was the time trials to get the melee weapons.
Yeah,
a lot of people have only got the wrench, and I understand why, because it's super easy to get. But there's actually 4 melee weapons that you can get from that.
Dope.
Yeah. There's the spade, the malice, and the katana.
Oh, that's cool. God, so much in this map, guys.
But to answer your question, everything's pretty much inspired by Black Ops 1. Like, we love Black Ops 1.
Yeah. Remastered all the weapons. That took me like a full year to do.
Yeah. Okay. So that's why I want to point out how the models looked so goddamn good. And Juan pointed out to me that you remastered them. So I was like, this doesn't look like a port, any of these models.
Oh my God.
That's all.
I don't want to do them anymore.
Yeah. What goes into remastering a gun? Is that building it from scratch from the model to the textures, or what goes into that?
Depended on how bad the model was coming out of Black Ops 1.
And they had some of the models from Black Ops 3 for that.
If it really, really needed a full remaster, some of them were from the ground up. Other ones, like all of them were remodeled. But like it'd be like I'd use the base and then kind of like, oh, this is not, we don't want it as jagged edges anymore. Or for instance, a lot of the Black Ops 1 models have all their detail in the texture. So it'll be like you see all these bolts or like grooves or like holes, like all these little things didn't exist on the original model. So I had to go in and like cut out these holes and grooves, add bolts. So it was like a lot of little details that I had to go in for every single gun.
Have you guys heard anything from any of the developers? Have any of them just passively said anything to you about this map? Or?
We have a couple friends at Treyarch, actually.
That's what I'm asking. So did any of them give you any feedback on this? Because
of course.
Oh yeah, lots. They gave us feedback on like how to like improve certain things.
Oh, even legit tips besides just being like, you guys are fucking killing it.
How to promote it.
Shout out to Cornrow Wallace James. Mm-hmm. He helped out with like a whole bunch of issues that we were having in the map. Like for instance, we had an issue in Elysium where the zombies couldn't actually walk up the ramp because it's such a weird shape. It's a circular staircase going like it's up to a circle platform. That's tough to actually do collision.
Yeah, definitely.
So he actually did the clipping for that, which was really nice.
That's awesome. That's so exciting.
But yeah, he actually was telling us that he's going around showing everybody the trailer.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Chroma was showing off to one of his friends from Treyarch. They were getting help with
David Vonderhaar.
Yeah. Yeah.
His best buddy.
What you guys have done between you, Chroma, you three, when I say you three, Chroma, I mean, this has to get some attention from the people working on these games. I hope the very best for all of you in this. If this doesn't get them to start reaching out and saying like, hey, hey, you should make some games for us. I don't know, man. This is like the best portfolio audition you could have. It's like, yeah, we made your game. It's like,
what we're really hoping this does is kind of push them back towards like Black Ops 1 style almost, because Black Ops 4, like if you look at the UI on that, that's nuts what they have on that game. That's crazy. But you can't see anything on the screen.
I agree.
Yeah.
I
think Black
like
Ops and Black Ops 2 had like an era of zombies that is just like untouchable now.
Mm-hmm. We're even hoping that they remake Leviathan themselves.
Yeah. If they want to have a map file, a lot of people want this on console.
That would be dope. That would be extremely dope. But I know legal would be super.
Yeah,
not up
copyright.
I mean, technically, they own it.
Yeah,
anything we create in the tools, they own.
Yeah,
that's fascinating. That would be interesting. That would be
next
really something for the community. Sorry, continue, Joe.
No, Bowtie Geek said, first and foremost, John, it's good to be back. Really digging that hair. Thank you. The quarantine hair is getting wild. He says, my question to developers is, what's the relationship between Easter egg design and lore and story? Do you write the story first, design the steps first, or create story cues from there? Overall, your Easter egg was fantastic, and thank you guys for giving me another Black Ops 3 experience.
I think it kind of goes hand in hand with each other because
they all kind of happen at the same time.
Yeah, I think like if you're designing a step, it kind of creates a story element, but then maybe you have a specific point that you want to get across, and that inspires a step. So it goes back and forth. So I guess a good example of that is in the original, we didn't have this power off step, but we thought it was like a really cool idea to do something like this, and it drove the story. Dr. Wells was like, oh my God, the power went out. Like, he's explaining like how it's like terrible, like his pod's basically getting shut down.
Yeah.
But then there's other things where, we wanted specific story aspects to drive the Easter egg itself.
Oh, Jay, I got a good one. I remade Samantha's room and I hid it in the map because they were going to do side Easter eggs that they were going to code and hide from each other. And I can't code. So I hid something in the map that I tried to hide from Jaybird, but it's kind of hard to hide something from a compile.
I mean, I like the map, so eventually I'm going to find it.
Yeah, eventually he found it, but I made Samantha's room and I hid it inside the map. And I thought I could go in there and hide in the map and they just have them look for me. But eventually they found it and he incorporated it into the mannequin room.
Yeah, that's where you get your masks.
That's such a good touch.
It was really funny though, because like when Hex snuck that in the map file, I was just like, one day I was just like going around cleaning some like trim up like at a door, and I'm like, oh, I need to like caulk the backside of this door so it doesn't render the other side. And I go through the door, I'm like, what the hell is this? What is this room?
I love it. Oh my God.
So he snuck it in there. I didn't even know about it. It was really funny.
That's amazing.
Last question comes from Joe E/Mr. Burger. He says, good evening all. No question. Just congrats on the release of Leviathan. A beautiful remaster of an already beautiful map. Reed and John, a pleasure as always.
Hey.
Thank you.
Terrific.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
we
you
got a lot
for
of
all the
donations
words.
tonight. So we
that was topic time.
We got a bunch of these to run through, and then we'll just be about wrapping up. Well, maybe not, depending on how much we get to talk about your future plans. But Delta donates. Oh, no. First, David donates 2 hours ago. Oh, my God. We have been running a beautiful podcast tonight. Anyway, what's going on, everyone? And Zombroz, tell us what happened. Johnny, please. What's your take on eye-colored zombies? Do you think we will get some clarification of it? Also, don't leave Reed, please.
That was a dense one.
I know. It asked for a bunch of information. The first thing is like, just go watch last week or go look at John's Twitter. We don't need to get into it.
Yeah.
I don't. It's not worth the time. I guarantee you, it's not worth the time. It's such a joke.
It's not worth the time. But I want to make a proper statement because the first one was just me having fun at the beginning of the show.
Okay.
And I'll clue you guys in more after the fact. Like you guys, as in like Jaybird and Hex and all, and all Pie and all you guys. Basically, we were talking about world record runs last week, and I had mistakenly said that Kino was one of the easier maps to make it to the high rounds on. And I knew that Kino was difficult, but I was totally in the wrong to say that it was one of the easier, because actually most of the world record community considers it the hardest. So I was completely wrong. I thought I was educated on the matter, but clearly I wasn't as educated as I should have been. When it comes to making world record videos, I'm making continuous strides to get more and more accurate as they go on. I'm working on that. Sorry, I messed up last week, but all I just asked people in the world record community, try to be a little bit more mature and a little bit more patient, and I'm more than happy to work with you guys. So,
caveat.
Yeah.
John also said maybe 30 seconds later, I'm probably wrong about this. Double caveat from my perspective, I'm also his friend and completely biased. But they were upset because John said Kino der Toten wasn't a hard high round run.
It is, so. It is.
It is.
Wouldn't Ascension be one of the easiest ones?
True.
Yes.
But like just
I'm not even gonna comment on that.
Yeah, forget it. I don't know. Actually, I have no idea. I'm out of my depths. But
Bowls are being dug right now.
The point I'm making is, from an outsider of this community, what a strange hill to die on that Joe Blow goes and says, this map is harder than this map. I mean, like, to me, that's I like red. I like blue. Oh, but I like red. Obviously not to that degree.
Do you guys get harassed about that kind of stuff?
Not really.
I mean, that's why this was such a strange.
No, they were just like individual trolls
and
that were giving me a tough time last week.
So it's like, take it in stride as it is what it is, but just like, I mean, it's no disrespect to, and the people that do accomplish it weren't even offended and they totally got it. It's just those outliers, and you're just like, how is this what? It's almost like in sporting when someone just like, yeah, the 1927 Yankees could totally beat this other team. It's like, dude, who cares? Like, whatever, dude.
Babe Ruth can beat Michael Jordan.
Exactly. It's like, okay, you go. Who cares what you think? Next donation. Oh, what else was there? Take an eye color and zombies. That's been awful. I never want to hear about that again. That's part of the redconning convolutedness that I just let somebody more intelligent than me or more deeper in the lore of zombies let you know what the eye color means, because it's past me at this point.
No, Samantha's yellow, and
it was at one point, and then
yeah,
was blue.
But what about red?
But then red is and white. Monty supposedly.
Yeah, red is the alternate dimension.
Okay, sure.
Because you got
whatever you say, Hex.
Ultimus. Oh no, red is Mob of the Dead. Yeah, that's the hell dimension.
It's Mob. It's also a Knock. It's also in Go Red Crovey.
I thought Knock was also in the hell dimension.
I meant not Knock.
You're talking Rev Knock, right?
Rev Knock. That's what I meant. I can't believe I just went straight Knock on
that. Never mind. It is kind of convoluted.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
Well, their whole story was kind of like written like. Well, no, their whole story is kind of just built up through different kind of things that other people have done, like Jimmy Zielinski, Blundell, Vonderhaar.
It's like their story is like a Jenga tower that's been going on for a little too long and somehow hasn't fallen over.
It's like the Terminator timeline. They just keep resetting it.
Okay, so we got that. Do you think we get some clarification of it? Maybe. Asteroid Delta donates a shit ton. $40 donation tonight, my guy. That is way too much. I remember on launch, me and my friends played this map for over 4 hours trying to get the Easter egg and trying to hunt for it. Thank you to the devs for a great experience. Thank you, Rhea and John, for having them on. Hashtag remaster die rise.
Everybody does that, actually.
Thank you very much for the very generous donation at Delta. You've been a wonderful friend for a very long time with the show, with both me and John. And that's exciting to hear. It's awesome to see that something you guys worked really hard on. I hope you're proud of this, because you clearly got a lot of people excited, especially in a very dark time when a lot of people need some escapism. And it just sort of lined up that way. But like, this map has definitely made a difference in a week in a bunch of people's lives, which is really cool. People are going to remember this custom map as one of their favorite or one of the best custom maps for the rest of their life in Zombies, and
That's so cool.
it's something else.
I just want to make sure the performance is good. Like I saw all the comments on the first day, and I'm like, oh no.
Like, the more people that we can get being able to play the map, the better. I mean, it sucks that a lot of people that don't have the best PCs out there are suffering with FPS issues. So, we're looking into these things. We do care. We're trying to make sure that everybody can play it.
That's awesome to hear. I'm sure a lot of players appreciate that. Spins Rocks donates $10 and says, just want to say thank you for all the years of great content and support you have given me. You have genuinely made my life better, and I will forever appreciate that. I'm excited for the last month. Thank you very much, Spins Rocks. And I'll make a statement at the end of the podcast for my announcement that happened this week in case you guys missed the video. The Warriors 925 donates $20. I feel like I'm dying. My God, with these donations. Reed, hope you get into the program that you're trying to get into. Hope to see you back, though, if the next game is good. Best of luck to you and your future. Thank you very much, the Warrior 925. And again, the Warrior 925 donates. Should have mentioned Johnny too. Laugh out loud. I will continue to watch all your YouTube videos and support you as well. Best of luck with your channel as well. And then I Say Pone donates. Oh, that's a classic. Congratulations to
That's Dukip.
Oh yeah, you know.
No. I Say Pone. No. This is I Say Pone. Sorry, but this is a guy from the modding community.
Yeah, I recognize him.
I do recognize his name.
Hell yeah. Congratulations to Jaybird and the Leviathan team. You guys knocked it out of the park. I want to ask, what custom maps coming are you looking forward to into the future? Leviathan team and Reed/John. Also opinions on the state of the modding community. Well, I think the modding community is having a beautiful renaissance right now. Great Black Ops 3.
State of the modding community is strong.
With that said, Leviathan was the last thing I was looking forward to. I gotta be honest.
Now that you guys brought it up, I'm looking forward to whatever Die Rise remake is coming up.
God!
I've seen
kind of curious.
Mouth!
Do you know who you are talking to?
Damn.
I am Mr. Remaster Die Rise.
We have people on there that have been remastering room by room. I thought.
Yeah. I've been watching. I'm aware.
I'm actually a pretty big fan of Die Rise. So is Jaybird.
I may or may not be starting a big push over the next month to get Die Rise remastered. I may or may not have recently written a Twitter bot to tweet every day that Die Rise hasn't been remastered.
I know Pi. I don't know if Pi, if you like it or not. I know the Jumping Jacks. He's the one that made those for ours.
So I guess you must like Die Rise in some sense.
I love the map, but I thought the leapers were really, really
I just love that everything was upside down.
Your leapers by far outperform those. Like, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Pieman's leapers have like a trail effect where you can see like a phase of the leaper behind him. So you can see like almost like the leaper pauses like partway through time, almost phasing through the air. It's so crazy.
I did see that, but I also had a really hard time hitting them.
I mean, the quantum leapers.
I mean, if you're not shitting yourself trying to run away from them, but have a good look if you can.
I love it. And we got another donation in chat from David again, I believe, the super chat that just went through. Thanks for answering my question. Die Rise Remaster should have purple eyes XD, and PS don't thieve. All right, so that wraps up the donations. Now I want to talk about to you guys what your future plans are. This, from what I heard, is your last custom Zombies map. What do you guys plan on doing next?
Oh, I'm deleting Radiant like as soon as this is over.
That's exciting.
I kind of have to keep it on my computer for a little bit so I can support the map. But
this thing has been like a menace on my computer for the past like 10 years.
I mean, our big plan though is now that we're going to be officially done making Zombies maps, we want to move into something bigger and better.
Okay.
We're going to make our own game.
Okay. That's what I thought I heard. That's amazing to hear. Do you have any idea of what the game's going to be like? I heard you were going to use Unreal Engine. Is there anything you want to talk about for that? That's exciting. Obviously, you want to keep as much as you can quiet, like you did with Leviathan.
Yeah,
but
what
like,
can you?
What do you want to say about it?
Really early, we want to do an FPS game, but like we would mostly focused on Leviathan, and we need to do a little more on it, and then go over to UE4. Like you need to.
But definitely an FPS.
Yeah, an FPS game with making sure everything's networked, so that way
we're thinking
if in the future we can go even further.
we're thinking of keeping it small at first. Maybe do 2 parts. We're not sure. Everything's still up in the air. We haven't put anything, but we do know that we want to make something that's our own.
That's exciting.
Like it's nice that we get to make all these little maps in the modding community, but I think it's kind of like one of those things like we've been doing this so long. Why don't we do something that we know we have the ability to do this? It's just the time. And we like the thing that I brought up before. If you put the time and effort into doing something, you can do it.
Yeah.
I feel like,
and we are definitely starting small though.
Yeah, we're gonna keep it small at first, and if it can go from anywhere from there, then we might. We'll see how it goes.
That's exciting. That's really darn exciting to hear, and that's where it all starts. I don't know how many indie devs I met at PAX East where their games are only a few hours long, but that's what you got to start with when you're 3 people. Yeah. You don't have a budget of $1 billion for a Call of Duty game. And by the way, Call of Duty is basically the #1 earning game in all the gaming, in the paid gaming industry, not free to play, not battle royales. And let's just remove the battle royales for the past couple of years. Consistently over the past 15 to 20 years, Activision has been able to have these gigantic movie-style budgets for Call of Duty. There's next to no games besides like Grand Theft Auto or what Project CD Red has been able to put out. Those are rarities to be able to get these massive budgets and huge teams to make these all-star games. So I mean,
you've seen the Ghost trailer, right? They hired the guy from Traffic or whatever. They even
that's insane.
They hired the writer.
It's insane.
From the writer who wrote the Academy Award-winning Traffic.
Oh shit! So it's like I think that's very mature of all 3 of you to be like, we're gonna start out small. We know the core mechanics of what we want to do, and I encourage everybody to follow all 3 of the devs of the Leviathan team through their journey. I know I'll be keeping up with all of you to see how progress goes. If that's the journey you continue to want to take in your future, if you really do enjoy it and it does turn out the way you hope it does.
Awesome.
So
it's.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to start wrapping up, so I just wanted to, if you guys have anything else you want to say about Leviathan, your maps or the future, where people can find you, feel free to do all those shout outs right now.
Just Jaybird, because everybody will just find me on Jaybird.
Yeah, I think my YouTube kind of blew up and my Twitter blew up over the last little bit.
We had that thing with Lex where like he kept forgetting the other 2 people, and it was just like, Jaybird and the other guys, whatever. Those
like in the video, it starts off he's like naming all 3 of us, and then it's just like Jaybird and Hex and the rest of the team. Jaybird and Jaybird. And it's like, guys, it's like those guys. There was 3 of us. I'm the one posting the picture, the videos and
we
stuff.
Found the Jason Blundell of the Leviathan team.
We were hoping he was gonna do that. Like he was just forget Jaybird's name and be like, yeah, those guys.
Yeah, who were they again?
Love it.
I forget, this is a random reference, but what there's like a scene in a movie, I forget what movie, it's like a comedy or something. Somebody goes up and like is like accepting something, and it's like, I want to just take a moment to say thank you to absolutely no one. I forget what movie this is. That's like you, Jay. We're going thank you to everybody who helped me make this map. Psych! It was all me.
We're gonna put everything on Chroma. Be like, yeah, Chroma did it.
If anybody knows what movie I'm referencing, remind me, because I can't remember.
I remember an actor had like a Native American woman go up and accept his Academy Award, and we were going to do that for Chroma. We're going to have Chroma just accept the award.
That's hilarious, and that was for The Godfather when he won his Academy Award, and he was it was for activism, political activism towards Native American rights.
Yeah, so we were going to do that to Chroma. Like, yeah, Chroma, he did it all.
That's beautiful, and actually,
the modding awards.
I just scrolled up, and there's a shit ton more donations I missed. My bad. Let me do those real quick. Adis donates and says, me and my mate played Leviathan. When he is host, my game crashes. When I'm host, his game crashes. It is usually from round 7 onwards, and at that point, it crashes almost every 15 minutes, and I or him have to join back in the map. Why is this?
That's that trace issue, I'm pretty sure. Okay. Yeah, trajectory. Yeah, it's a networking issue.
Okay.
We're unsure if it's related to the map because it's something that does happen on other Call of Duties, but we do know that it is related to ping. So people with higher ping will get this error and get kicked out of the map. But if other people are good with their internet, they'd stay in the match.
It
So
happened.
Gotcha.
It happened with Lex and Dalek. They were like super far away and they were lagging, and it kept happening to them.
Gotcha.
So we're not sure if it's something map related, or if it's maybe it's something network related.
Gotcha.
We are currently still looking into it though.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where it's like we've never been able to have this issue. We have like 70 versions of Leviathan over this full year, 70 co-op tests. Never experienced that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things where it's like we can't reproduce it. We don't know what the error actually comes from. So
And we don't have their debugging tools.
So unfortunately, there's not a lot we can do.
Hey, I think more or less he just wanted to let you know about it, and that's good
Yeah.
to hear that you're all aware.
Yeah,
of it.
no.
That's terrific. Awesome. Andy Gaming donates, and he says, "Hey Jaybird, oh God, wait, moved it on me. Do you guys have any plans on adding room names in the top corner of the map?"
Hey, we talked about it.
Yeah, we did. Touched on it.
It was just one of those things where it's like a little bit too much effort, or not effort, but like it would have taken too long to have to like make all these different sign models and whatnot. It was one of those things that we just kind of like, it was on the back burner and it just never happened. One of the other options is we were thinking of maybe like Black Ops 4, they got the little text that pops up on the top left of your screen where it's just like, oh, you're in cafeteria.
Mm-hmm. But we're not sure what kind of issues that would cause.
Well, it wouldn't cause issues, but I mean, it would just be one of those things where you got to do it right, and that takes time.
Yeah.
Fair enough. 2 more donations came in from Adis. I hope I'm seeing it's far away. My eyesight's crap, so I apologize if I'm not reading it right. He asked, "Will Ragnarok get remastered?" And why?
No.
That's a good question.
Go ahead.
Figured as much. Why didn't you port the Zombie Chronicle weapons instead of developing them yourselves? I think he's going for.
The ones that were already remastered are in there. So like the Galil,
There you go.
the M1911,
Famas, right?
yeah, the FAMASA as we called it because we had to override the name of it. Yeah, like there's anything that was already done already, which was just a handful, like maybe 5 or 6 guns.
Gotcha.
Those do exist in the map, and we didn't have to remaster those. Everything else came from Black Ops 1.
For Ragnarok, me and Pi were making it when Radiant first came out, but that kind of like fell out. Like the map is just too big to do.
Fair enough. I don't blame you.
Yeah,
It's on. Honestly, like it's time to move on, right? Instead of just spending time remastering, I think it's way more exciting to hear that you guys are looking to create your own.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to.
The War Ragnarok is still fun. Like I'd go play that.
Sure. David donates, got that one. So then Delta donates. On an unrelated note, Reed sent John his Die Rise poster. I do.
Yeah,
need to
send
do
it to
that.
me, bitch.
I'm
I'm waiting.
All right. Kited Killer donates. He says, "Call the Dead needs a remaster for BO3 or BO5."
there were some people doing that at one point, but I think that kind of fell through. It looked pretty good.
Did you
I
not
mean, they
play
might
BO4?
He ignored
If
BO4.
you didn't, I don't blame you. You weren't missing much.
I played some of the maps on Black Ops 3.
Fair enough. Michael donates and he says, "I will miss the show. Love you guys." And David donates one more. "Should Jimmy return as the head of Zombies director?" Absolutely not. We've talked about that in the past. Ooh, time to move on. Time for new people.
I don't think they like him anyways, right?
They did not sound that way to me. They did not seem to talk favorably about Jimmy. He's a strange guy.
He is a little weird. Have you seen his Twitter before? Like he just posts weird stuff.
Have I seen his Twitter before?
He even posts weird shit on Twitter.
Yeah,
and we
and
would
like
handle
weird
it.
quotes, right?
Oh my god, the strangest
like-
of stuff.
He'd be like, "The darkness is surrounding us all," and he'd be looking at like a puddle or something.
And you're like, okay, Jimmy.
Oh my god.
This has been a wonderful episode of Zombroz. Thank you all for coming on to talk about your map. I've absolutely adored this discussion. I think we all learned a lot and had a really, really good time. So thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
the last guy that interviewed us kept swearing.
Virgo.
Yeah,
That was fun though. That was a little more shame,
He kept,
you know.
what did he keep calling us? He kept calling us assholes.
let's not say that word.
Oh,
No, that's
No,
the way that's the way he
in-
says.
In like good spirits though, like
fair
not
enough.
like
yeah, I got you.
Like he's a very
He's-
sweary.
Yeah,
He's
that's
a nice
fine. That's a That's an environment. Okay. And to address the video I made earlier this week, I am leaving YouTube. I'll talk more about that when we don't have the devs on, in a sense, but I'm more or less leaving the Zombies community. I'm going to be wrapping up my coverage of Zombies community, but not closing the door entirely, depending on what happens in the fall. But I'm definitely taking a long-needed break from Call of Duty Zombies, if not a permanent one. And I'll get into more details. Again, I don't want to do it on this podcast. We have guests on, but I also don't want to ignore it because the video did come out this week. Again, I sincerely appreciate all the kind comments people have put out there, all the goodwill people have put out towards me. It has been really humbling to see that people care at some point, especially even care about my library of videos, which is still something is up in the air for me. But with all that said, I really appreciate it. And the ad was the ad. A handful of people, and that's always how YouTube is, that bugs me. People were mad. I had a 9-minute, 30-minute ad. I was doing an entire review about the dumbass phone behind me. I owed it to them, and I didn't want to be a scumbag and renege on it. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do it. And then I don't know when I'm gonna make another Zombies video, so I better say this now instead of surprising people. So they got their transparency update. So there you go. I will talk about more about that later. The last episode of Zombroz is slotted for episode 200. We believe it's going to be June 21st, and MC Sports Hawk will be on, the original co-host of mine, to celebrate 200 episodes of Zombroz and the conclusion.
Nice.
That is insane.
So there we go. Thank you all for watching. Be safe, and until we see you on the next episode of Zombroz, have a wonderful day. Bye now. And we